Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Conversations in Pop Culture. We're doing something a little bit different. I kind of threw down a little bit of a challenge. And obviously, Stokes, who I know, and Enemy One Entertainment, which is Lewis Porter Jr. Obviously, we're having a discussion that was very public, I guess, in a Facebook group. And I threw out an idea to have a debate, hosting it. And so that's what we're kind of doing here. But before I do that, I do want to remind everybody that my sponsor is Pocket Jack Comics. And if you like books like that are fantasy, beautiful art, all that fun stuff, go check out what they do. Link down below. And they are being distributed by Philbo Distributions. So that's another cool thing to look at and go at. And I'm just going to lay down the ground rules. Obviously, I am not here to get in this debate between the two of you. I have no dog in the fight. I'm here to moderate it. My objective is not to get involved unless I have to, and everything in between of that nature. And I'm going to give both of you 2 to 3 minutes for an opening statement, and then you two can challenge each other's viewpoints, your worldviews, your opening statements, however you want to do it, ideas. Totally up to you. But what I ask is that if you go and make a statement, let somebody respond, and then crossfire it back and forth. So obviously, I'm just going to put this up because this is what sparked it all, so everybody can be up there. This is kind of the post that sparked it all on everything. So why don't indies team up for a joint story, release comics digital first, generate money/interest, then split printing costs. So that's kind of the topic and where this spun off of, and everything in between, as I was stating. And I figured that since Enemy Entertainment won, this was your prompt. I believe Stokes is the challenger, so I will let Stokes go first in an opening statement.
Yeah, I just think how do I sound? Does that sound good?
Yeah, you sound fine. I mean, I don't have a problem.
Okay, no, I'm just making sure, bro. No, I mean, I seen the prompt in question, and I seen other prompts from Enemy One, and the question is always interesting to me, in the sense of, I think why you wouldn't do this are kind of self-evident, in terms of there's so many logistical hurdles to like getting people to agree to something, a digital release first, and then pivoting. It's just so many steps. And I see a lot of questions like that where I feel like it's asked kind of rhetorically. And I'm just curious as to, what was the impetus behind asking these questions? I mean, it just kind of simple as that.
Well, I mean, I came into comics from a different perspective. I've been publishing in the TTRPG sphere for now over 25 years. And a lot of stuff they do, comics don't seem to do, which I always thought was kind of weird. Teaming up being a big one. I mean, a lot of digital publishing for role-playing games have been going on for almost 30 years now. And comic books seem like they just started getting into that as an idea and a setup. So, I mean, like I tell people, I've been doing it so long. I've got over 1,000 products I released that way. I bought investment properties with the money I've made from my digital products. So I don't get why people don't use the digital first idea in comics first and foremost. I think it's kind of, I won't use the word silly, but it's like people invest so much money doing printing and things like that. And it's like the cost aspect of that seems to be so high, and it's so easy to get into debt that way. Why wouldn't you go digital first? You can save at least the printing aspect to it, and you can put out more product relatively quickly. And you can find different ways to motivate people to get your product. I think that's a better way to go about it than try to do traditional print, get it to stores, see if they're interested, and go on that route.
Yeah, and so I think it's interesting. Of course, if you were done, the problem I have with a lot of indie comics is when I see your questions, it's kind of a compound of different things that I think are not conducive to like good indie comics discourse. Which is why I asked why. So because if it is a genuine question, I think the reason why, I mean, primarily those people release through Kickstarter. And that's just like one of the most efficient, quick ways to get interest and money and backers and a fan base. So the idea of doing digital first. Now with that, so you're kind of either you're skipping past Kickstarter, coming back to it, or you're doing a Kickstarter that's only digital, which feels like kind of pointless, honestly. You know, like the books are so expensive. I mean, the digital sales are not like the margins on a digital sale once the book is funded is high. Like once you've already made the money back, yeah. You can you have some, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, I think there's the problem. I come from the perspective of build your fan base first and then go to stuff. I mean, the advantage I had when I started doing for my stuff for the Dominion, we'd already spent 4 years building a fan base through the role-playing game side. And all the original art that we paid for, all the character design work, all the write-up was already prepaid before we even did our first page of comic books. So, I mean, we're big and we have income coming in while I'm still working on the new project. So it's, that's something I thought was, well, why don't people do that? I don't get why people don't. The gaming industry is so kind of small and so nichey. We like getting in stuff like this because so many comic guys do so much artwork. We would love to have that stuff in our books because that's how we sell more products. And it's weird. There's no crossover with it. And I mean, I know so many guys who do like the most popular superhero role-playing game right now is probably Mutants and Masterminds. They've been going for 20 years. They had DC's license for, I think, 5 or 6 years. And the most recent edition was a 3rd edition. They redid DC's license initially and then jumped, and then they got rid of it. And people have been doing support, including myself. And I'm like, why aren't comic book guys even trying to get in this field, or at least teaming up with people to do that kind of thing? That part initially never made sense. So that's why I did mine initially. I mean, all the money that we did for artwork, we got paid way before we even started doing a comic book.
Can I ask a question? Because I'm, and it might be a little bit rhetorical, but I think it's actually important. So I don't know what is a team up exactly look like, right? Because, and this might actually be a complicated question to a degree, but is a team up that our heroes are crossing over with each other? Is a team up that we're in an anthology? Is it because I think this is also complicated too, because I have joint collaborations with people, right? Right. So like the other night I did a wrestling hangout and 2 or 3 people, we all shared the stream together on all of our channels uniquely. But I wouldn't say that was a team up, right? But it's also, but like, I don't know exactly what a team up is. And I know it sounds like a foolish question, but I do think that is really important when we start talking about this issue, and this in particular is that what is a team up, right? Because is it that person A and person B are writing the book together? Is it that I'm just lending you my hero? What exactly is it? So I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm asking it, because I want to make sure there's a clarification, unless there's an open definition, and maybe this is a moot point. And again, I'm trying not to interfere, but I'm very confused because I don't think it's clear enough exactly.
I mean, I came from the perspective of, I'm taking more traditional sense of 2 companies coming together, bringing their IP or characters together, hiring an artist and write it separate that will do the story for both of them. Maybe someone they both work with for art and story, telling the story, using the villains accordingly, and then going back to their respective universes. I think Marvel Comics and DC's Teen Titans, X-Men is a prime example of that. I think that's probably the best one, because you got an opportunity to see the Dark Phoenix. You got to see Darkseid. The other big bad was Deathstroke, and it always like a nice mashup. Walt Simonson doing the writing, the art. I think he did the writing also on that. Somebody worked with both companies. That kind of setup. That's what I think is the best. People can have it do it all different ways, but I think that's really the best way. And you split it basically down the middle, and you decide what things are off limits. With Marvel and DC, prime example, they did the JLA Avengers team up. When Batman and Cap fought, neither of them won. They were, that was definitely there. Because people would say, "Oh, Batman would win, Cap would win." We knew nothing was going to happen. But Thor and Superman, well, Thor lost. Makes a little more sense. And I think that's the best way to kind of do it. You pick and choose who wins, who does the stuff. And really the purpose is really to show other people other comics they may not even know about.
I think the problem with all this is the logistical hurdles, because and I think the 2 core problems I have with the way that enemy one frames his questions and then the follow-ups is you're bringing sensibilities from other one. It's not even the same medium. Like it's a complete. It's not even adjacent to comics, TTR RPG. It makes complete sense to me that a digital TTRPG could exist like that. Like, I think it's completely.
I mean, I have a few. They exist completely. I mean,
right. Yeah. So I'm like, that can make sense, but you have like people that only want to read digital comics, only want to read physical comics. And then as soon as you talk about DC or Marvel, it's such a different scale that it's really not even the same medium as well. Like DC and Marvel, you're talking about on the newer end, you're talking about 30 years, you're talking about 20 years, you know, like Static Shock, for instance, is probably a relatively newer character that's what, like 36 years old, you know, like these are long running characters. It's not comparable. And then you kind of bring in these other perspectives, which are cool to as a thought experiment, I guess, but you're asking people and then and to me it kind of just exposes like the wrong perspective and how wrong it is. Like indie comics is its own beast. In 2026, indie comics is its own beast. I remember I had a conversation with somebody and they were like, we should do blind bags for our Kickstarter. And I was like, why? That wouldn't work. Oh, it works for Invincible. Like, bro, you're not fucking Robert Kirkman. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but the things they're talking about, this kind of stuff is from the 90s.
Blind bag.
Yeah, I mean, I got to remember, I'm an old guy. I'll be 56 in 22 days. And I've been collecting comic books. Realistically, I would say the first comic book that I would say as a true collector was New Mutants #2. And
yeah, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily, unless you keep everything in perspective, I don't even think that's necessarily an advantage, because that's just bias. Like, but the majority of my time creating reading comics, I was creating comics at the same time. Like I have way less biases. I don't have decades of bias to have to work through. I can just look at it and say, this works, this doesn't work. Yeah, and I don't think a blind bag would work because people people don't have the interest in the. I mean, that's it. Their interest isn't there to warrant. The interest isn't there to warrant a bunch of crossovers. It has to be at a relatively similar level, or you have to have like meaningful relationships. For instance, like, you know, I'm sure you guys can figure out who I'm friends with or who my collaborators are. So yeah, in that instance where you're already collaborating, you're already friends. Yeah, it's easy to do a crossover at that point, but you want to do it with somebody that you don't know. But the thing is, Marvel and DC are really the only they're the only two that are really in comparison with each other. Like maybe you could throw in, you know, Image or like Dark Horse.
I mean, to interrupt, you can make an argument that an IDW, you know, is there to a degree. I mean,
I don't think they're as big as Marvel to DC. I don't. I could be mistaken.
The argument I'm making here is that if IDW wanted to do a crossover with like Dark Horse, that could work.
Of course, 100%. Yeah, that seems comparable. That seems of a comparable level to me. And even a Marvel to an IDW, like maybe, or you know, maybe Flash will cross over Sonic. But these are like another 30-year, 70-year plus IPs that have the personal investment to warrant doing the crossover in the first place.
But there's a problem with that thought process, because this is why context matters. In the 90s, Image did it with Valiant.
There we go.
Wait. But those are contexts are important. Those companies were both less than 5 years in. Marvel and DC controlled 80% of the market, but they're still the two largest ones who are not. They were at best they were maybe 5% each. They still did it, and the characters they did it with.
If they're 5% each, they're on the same level. That's what I'm saying though. Like they be on a similar.
But you can still do it with indie guys on the same level, being small. I mean, okay.
How do you measure level? Like how that would be the. How do I determine what a reasonable crossover? I would say, and for me personally, I would say a pretty reasonably successful Kickstarter creator. I don't have anybody who's a one-to-one to meet. I don't think, say, Chris Moses does as well. I don't know that Kat and Phil, for instance. I don't know that they have one. There's such a wide range of possibilities.
So for the TTRPG, you know, you see guys at all different levels and all kinds of money to raise.
That's a different medium, but
it's not really. I mean,
it is a TTRPG is a different medium, brother.
Well, I would say that, but since I've done it and I do comics, I can at least give you.
So if you did TV and came to comics, TV and comics are the same medium.
I can say that they both tell stories. A lot of them tell stories based on content like that. You don't have to believe it. I mean, you don't have to, but
you're factually incorrect, bro. They're different mediums.
Except that Dungeons & Dragons makes comic books. So does Paizo, the two largest ones out there.
That's called an adaptation, brother. So when they take a comic book and make a movie, it's a comic book movie that is an adaptation.
I know. Here's the thing. They're telling different stories. They're not adapting specific stories on their stuff. And they're hiring comic book guys to do it. Jim Zub being a prime example. Jim Zub has worked for Marvel, has worked for everybody.
Are TTRPGs the same medium as comics or not?
I say that they have similar characteristics. They're telling stories. You shake your head. Okay.
I'm shaking your head because you're kind of dancing. You're dancing around the point, but we can proceed.
What you want me to say is, are they exactly the same thing? No.
I said the same. Are they the same medium? Are they the same medium? So Flash and Sonic
telling a story, yeah.
No, they're not. They're different. They're different mediums, and even like if I were to agree with you that TTRPG and a comic are a different medium.
How? What is the purpose of TTRPG?
Okay.
So
I got a question. Is a novel and a comic the same?
Let's talk about what I just asked.
Hold on. What's the question? I mean, I'm going to ask Stokes this. Let me ask this, if I may. Sorry to interrupt, because I want to get to the point here. Are you asking a question to prove a point?
You talking about me?
Yeah.
I mean, my point is that.
Yeah.
My point is that you cannot come from other places and come into indie comic. I mean, you can. This is all the caveat of you can do whatever you want. And there are so many hundreds of worse people making worse arguments in worse faith than Enemy One Entertainment, right? Like so not even trying to paint them a certain way. But the problem is when people come into indie comics, and then they bring stuff from it's just not effective. Like it's not, but it's.
I mean, look, if you want to gatekeep, that's great.
No, hold on. How is that gatekeeping?
I don't think this is
hold on, Andrew. No, hold on. How is that? Explain how that's gatekeeping.
You're saying that you can't bring something over, something that's different, to come into comics, indie comics. It's some radically different thing.
No, I didn't say you can't do it. Well,
I'm just telling you how you're presenting yourself. To
no. Well, I said you can do whatever you want. You are free to ask any question you want. So that's not gatekeeping. I'm telling you,
the feeling of it wasn't being equal.
Let me
hold on, Andrew. I got it. What'd you say, Lou? What'd you say?
I think he does want us to talk over ourselves. I think that's the most.
No, but I can hear you said something about it's not being equal. Like what were you saying?
I think that once you understand that, we'll use TTRPGs since we're talking about that. They're about telling stories. They've always been about telling stories. That's why they have things called adventures. People play adventures, they tell a story, and they continue on doing that kind of stuff, and they move their characters up. You don't believe that? Oregon
Trail is a comic book. Like, yeah, of course. They're all it's all storytelling.
Oregon Trail isn't a role-playing game. It isn't a role-playing game.
Listen, I don't want to get bogged down into semantics. You said that I was gatekeeping.
Wait. I don't want to also to lose.
Absolutely. Make your point. I thought
because I think that you like to be a little. Well, this is what I believe, and this is what it should be, and it's like that's not always how it is.
I'm not telling you what it should be. I'm telling you what I think and what I've witnessed.
Great.
In indie comics. And if I were to take what happens in indie comics and try to apply that to indie movies, I don't necessarily think it would work either. Now, you can absolutely cherry pick and take the best from one medium to another 100%. But to copy and paste and say, hey, this worked over here, it should work over there. Well, I just think without accounting.
Let me to retort. I don't think being afraid to see if it does is also a thing too. Because
I'm sorry. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said you said you shouldn't be able to cherry pick things and move them over.
No, you should.
I believe that you could try anything. Anything goes. There aren't any rules to this. And the gatekeeping, which it really feels like gatekeeping, indie comics must be this.
I never said it must be anything.
But that's the feeling I get from you.
Lewis, I get that it feels that way. I get that it feels that way. I get that it feels that way. I'm not trying to get.
I'm just telling you how you found.
I'm gonna I'm gonna let you go, and then I'm gonna go.
I think that anything goes on, and trying anything is always a good thing. I think it's always good to try things that haven't been done, because most importantly, if you do the same thing over and over and everybody's doing the same thing, then nothing gets improved. Nothing gets changed. Great example, doing black and white. Black and white's comic books started in the early 80s. And people said, oh, you can't do those. Those will never be successful. Except that, they are. People are like, oh, no, you couldn't do a good horror-based comic book. Those will never sell. Until they did. Everybody's got to put rules up where they think that things can't be done. I get it. I understand. People naturally, it's always that can't work. That won't work. And then when it does, everyone does the same thing. Oh, I always knew it was going to work. It was always going to be a success. Come on. People don't know. We never know. Try it. You got nothing to lose. You try it out. It works. You're a genius. If it fails, you're supposedly an idiot. But hey, I'll take the chance. What do you got to lose? That's like saying somebody, don't ask out a pretty girl, but she's always going to say no, but you're not as good looking as you. That's a dumb concept. Why wouldn't you? What do you got to lose? She going to say no? Okay, well, she said no. I'll move on to another one. Like anything else. I think people get caught in this mentality of, I'm afraid to fail and I don't want to look bad in public. Who cares? Who cares about that?
Can I retort?
Please.
When I say everything I'm saying again, and I said this, is from my perspective. So if I'm going to come off as gatekeeping to you, it's just nothing. The words aren't gatekeeping. The verbiage isn't gatekeeping, but you're going to want to feel how you feel about it. So that's unfortunate. But again, I'm just saying what you should, if the purpose of what you're doing is trying to like just try stuff out, then sure. That's just not how the tone of your post, and we're talking about how you come off. That's not how it came.
How you interpreted it.
Just like you interpret me as gatekeeping.
Right.
Just like you interpret gatekeeping, right?
Personal choice. See, that's how it works.
You can make whatever you can make. I'm gonna proceed. Yes. So everybody should be allowed to do whatever it is they want to do, and if they fail, they gotta live with that.
So you fail, you make it sound like if you fail, it's a bad thing.
If you fail, it is a bad thing. Yes.
Why? Oh, so you succeeded everything.
As far as comics, pretty much yes.
Okay,
yeah.
in
other facets of my life, no, absolutely not. I'm overweight. My beard is patchy. But in terms of comics,
we're not going to do that.
$1,000,000,000%.
Do you learn more from a failure or success?
I'm not trying to be like a smart ass. I haven't had a failure in comics. I've been largely overwhelmingly successful.
Okay.
With everything. Now, the reason why that is, can I say something real quick?
You gotta I mean, we're still talking about that. Use the word success.
No, but I let you go, and you're not gonna let me go. Can I
finish his point?
Let me just finish my point.
Yeah.
Now, the way that I became overfunded, what I'm saying, so many times is I do not come into a situation with a lot of bias and perspective. I try not to. And as a result, I look at the situation for what it is and try to move accordingly. And I do try new stuff. I try new stuff all the time. Like, I don't think we should associate trying new stuff with failing. You should try to succeed. As far to answer your question, like what's taught me more my success and my failures. I mean, I hit obstacles, you know what I'm saying? Like I hit roadblocks, like shit gets off the track for sure. But the problem with failing is that it's a progress stopper. If you succeed and learn, you can keep going. You can keep stacking. You can keep stacking wins and keep going. When you say people got nothing to lose, I mean, money, right? Like financial stability, stamina, mental energy. That mentality is cool. Well, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the kind of creator I want to be, but the confusion is between you saying that and then the tone of your posts that seemingly are very much about being serious at making comic books. I just think there's a dissonance between what you are saying is more of a carefree, like light, approach to comics, do it, throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, is completely different from your tone of your post, which seem a lot more definitive, a lot more like kind of suggesting, hey, this is the way,
I just asked a question.
What's the question?
No, the questions I asked questions. You can do, like I said, you can do whatever way you want. I think
your tone is very.
I take the Bruce Lee effect of it. Find what's useful, what works for you, and just discard the rest. If it's useful to me, I'll work with it. Why not? If it works, why not use it? I don't think
it works for most people. I think most of the advice that, you're asking a question. I think, and this is why I asked you why you asked your question. If you ask the question again, as just to interact with people, to like get engagement, to just have thought experiments, like I think it's effective. If it's supposed to spur on like meaningful conversation about any comics, I think it fails.
That's a great thing. That's your opinion.
I mean, it's other people's opinions too. Yeah, but other people who have never failed either.
You use the word never failed, and I'm going to ask that question. And once again, what does failure look like? So if you've never failed, that means you're all successes.
I would say a failed campaign would objectively be a failure.
I don't mean just campaigns, but I think Kickstarter gives people a fake illusion of stuff. I mean, if you're successful, you're going to make big numbers. I don't know about the comic books, for indie guys, what a typical good run is. I know for role-playing games, guys do $250,000 easy. I don't see a lot of indie guys doing $250,000.
Well, that's a different medium, as I pointed out.
Yeah, but once again, money's money. If there's a fan base for it, there's a fan base for it.
But again, it's all.
You think there's a larger fan base of comic book fans or role-playing fans?
Role-playing fans for sure, but I think they have more.
You mean they just had their convention this week? Gen Con happened this week. This is the largest convention for role-playing games.
Yeah.
The week before was San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
About 40,000 people showed up for Gen Con. 120,000 showed up for Comic-Con.
Did I not say comics had a bigger fan base?
Yeah. So, but why is the money so different? Why is the money so much?
Because there's less. I would imagine that the one, it's higher. There's probably less TTRPGs. There's probably like less competition, so they have more money to spend per average. Like if you have a pull list of say 10 books, and then you support say 3 Kickstarters, that's just so much money going out. If I buy like a TTRPG like 3 times a year, then even if you bump that up, I would just have way more money to spend. I mean, but again, I'm not really interested in talking about TTRPGs because that's a different medium. Like a Kickstarter comic gross is probably higher than like most indie movie grosses. I don't even.
Now that I definitely don't believe that.
I mean, I'm sure Obsession or something will skew the fucking numbers, but like if you look at like a majority of indie, I bet there's a lot of indie filmmakers that can't break $10,000 on Kickstarter.
I bet there's a lot of indie comic guys that can't break 5,000. From what I've seen from stuff, it's like the numbers are not even. I see guys looking for I need $1,000 to get my comic book out. I'm always like, who doesn't have $1,000?
I don't know. I don't really like. All my comic book friends are like really like serious, like very successful comic creators. So the $1,000, I'm not even.
Okay? Back to the word successful. What is a successful comic book? I mean, for sales, what would you consider to be a successful comic book run for sales? How many units do you think would be?
I mean, it depends. It's all relative. Like
no, but I mean, is it 100 or is it 10,000?
It's all relative. I don't understand.
To what?
To what you put into the project? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish?
You
just mentioned doing a digital run first. You're gonna make more. You're gonna make less money doing a digital run than you would a digital and a physical run. So initially, you wouldn't have a successful run under your model, and then you might have a successful run later.
Why? Based on
why? What?
Why would I have a less amount under digital?
You have less options to.
You have less options to sell?
The thing is though, is like. Stretching.
I know you want to get the wording to be perfect so it fits.
No. But I got you.
This way, I'll give it to you this way. I'll be fair.
No, but you. I understand. I'm not somebody who's really big on semantics, right? I'm not somebody who's like super hyper focused on the right word. I'm sure it feels that way because you've been saying a lot of wrong shit. But there is a distinction. There is a distinction between comic.
And I just wonder, it's like, if you're as good as you say you are.
I didn't say I'm that good. I said I'd never failed at making comics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I found hard to believe.
That's me in particular. It's not, that
I mean, so you've never failed at comics. So your comics are well known and well established. You're making great sales. You've got the high numbers. You're very so if you've never failed, how many books do you release a year? I'm just kind of curious.
You talking about like me exclusively through my sheet? Talking about co-published?
At your company, how many books do you release a year?
Like 7 or 8.
7 or 8 a year. So you probably spend realistically. How many pages are your books?
I mean, you can say standard for sake of arguments, 24
pages. Okay, so 24 pages of story.
Yeah.
All right, 24 pages of story. Let's guesstimate. You pay. I'm going to guess in the relative range of probably about $100 a page for art.
For the sake of argument, we can say yeah.
Okay, so let's figure then another $100 would get you writing, coloring, and lettering. So
writing, I'm the writer.
But still, what's it for a budget? We have to build a budget. So really, so you don't budget.
I don't budget like that. No, I don't budget for writing. Fuck
okay.
no.
So your writing is free. So we won't count it.
I'm going to say something. You take equity for your writing instead of payment. Is that a fair assessment, Stokes?
Whatever is left over the Kickstarter, I keep. I'm making another book.
You're taking equity in your project. Therefore, that's how it's set up.
Good point.
Taxable positioning. But sorry for interrupting. I wanted to just
No. So realistically, let's just say let's for quick math, 25 pages, $200 a page.
Quick math.
Five grand a book just to create production wise, based on a $200 per page. Correct?
For the sake of argument, sure.
Great. You do seven of those per year. So that's $35,000.
For the sake of argument. For the sake of argument.
You add in printing. Let's say printing would probably be about equal. But how much is your print? How much cost for printing?
Equal to what, bro?
To your budget that you set.
Fuck no.
So how much you pay per book?
I mean, some of this stuff you're asking me, like stuff that I wouldn't. And this is shit we could have a conversation offline.
No. Wait. I've been a graphic designer for over 30 years. I know printing very well. I know what your cost should be per book. So I'm very transparent about that. You can go check this stuff online. I mean, you can be transparent.
I'm not being that transparent.
But I'm asking you, the production costs are the production costs. So if you're doing 7 books, like I said, realistically, let's say $7,000 per book, you're really spending about $50,000 a year on book. Realistically, that's a pretty reasonable amount.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think we took a lot of steps. I mean, you said that
I did some very basic budgeting.
But I mean, listen, bro, you skipped past so much stuff. So I don't have a writing budget. So we can take out, like, I don't know how much you counted for writing. We can take out 50 of that and multiply by whatever figure you have.
Great. We'll say $100 a page. You want to do that? $100 a page, $2,500 plus. You'll still do printing the same amount. So $2,500.
The printing's not the same amount. I mean, that's where you're losing me, and I'm paying like $3 a book.
Page, 25 pages.
I'm paying $3 a book, bro. Like, it's not comparable.
I mean, I know printing well too. I had a sponsor who was a printer. I mean, I know exactly what everybody was charging. So this is printing is the most expensive part, in my opinion.
Right.
No, it's not. It's not true. That's not true.
That's true.
What I mean, listen. You're asking me, right? You, Lewis Porter, asking Anthony Stokes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and guess who would be qualified to know about this? Me.
With 30 years experience doing graphic design for major companies.
Thousands of books for book.
Okay. So you don't do
so I gotta stay liquid, and I gotta keep moving because I'm making so many books. So I gotta consider space. I gotta consider how am I making the next book, all that stuff. So is that the missing piece? Are you printing? Are you overprinting to like get the unit price down?
Even on a small print run, $3 a book is very realistic. $3 a book. If you're paying less than $3 a book on 24 pages, I'm gonna ask some questions of your printer because the math is a math there. The math is a math.
It does.
The most printing is when you turn on the press to get the first one. After the first one, like the old joke, when they did print on demand, when print on demand started becoming a real thing, the costs were pretty, they were low, but they weren't like dirt cheap. You're not printing a book for $1. You're just not. You're just not. You're printing a color book,
but
it's not going to be that. If
in your model, right?
You're going to do about 1,000 units, it's going to run you about $3 per book. It's about $3,000. That's standard anywhere. Now, you don't have to believe me. That's great. You can check that information out. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to believe
I think the thing is, you're assuming that I'm printing out 1,000 books. It's just weird. It's just odd to me. And I think that this is where
if you print, I don't think you do. I don't think
on my artists and all that stuff. But you said 100. I went with it.
Why not?
Then you said, hold on a second, Lewis.
Why not?
Hold on a second, Lewis. You keep coming. Didn't I let you talk? Why do you feel like you have to keep interrupting me? That's confusing for you to be.
Why not?
You have to be 30. You have so much more experience.
You got to give him the ability to speak.
Yeah, you're not really conducting yourself
very
as
respectful. Stokes has been respectful to you, and you got to give it back,
bro. You know how it is with me. That's how they do it. You are saying the math is mathing, and then you every time you ask me, and I will give you a figure. I said this, that, this. I said for the sake of argument, boom, boom, and then you just assume I was doing $1,000 unit run. I can't do an 1,000 unit run all the time because I gotta make the next book. I gotta keep things pushing. Now, again, it's all relative. Who's selling a lot? What's a lot of sales? It's relative. I will say this. I am a top performer in terms of Kickstarter and conventions. Kickstarter numbers are public. That's, like I said, you should have done a little bit of research. Conventions is a little bit harder to like quantify in terms of, not everybody's convention sales are public, but needless to say, no, I sell quite a lot of books. And yes, I do take a hit on the unit per price because, like I said, I want to be liquid. The thing is, there's a printer I work with. The price at 100 copies and the price at like 700 copies is essentially the same. You're talking about like 10 cents. You're talking about 10 cents. If you want to go and debate them, you can. That just is what it is. I know you're shaking your head. You're like, I've never experienced this in my 30 years of TTRPGs.
No, I just don't believe you.
You cannot believe me. I mean, I can't persuade you.
Look, I just don't believe you because that's facts. You can check in 10 seconds. You can go buy Kablam and look what they charge.
Kablam.
They tell you the price breaks off.
Kablam. I don't play with Kablam.
That's the most basic one. You could check that information. That's readily, easily available.
Dude, don't. It's not like inexperienced any comic creator, bro.
I don't believe you.
You cannot believe me, and I don't really care to try to persuade you otherwise.
I know. Thank God, because I mean, like I said, what you're telling me.
I know it blows your 30-year mind. I know, but
I know that you like to do personal attacks. That's what you do for.
But not personal attack. You said no. Hold on a second. You said, I have all this experience and all this other stuff. You brought that up. You brought that up.
You're not. You don't budget for books. What kind of businessman doesn't budget for books?
A successful one.
What kind of businessman doesn't know his budget for his books?
A successful one.
If you don't know your numbers, then what are you doing in business?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good, bro.
Successful. You told
me. Should we go to Kickstarter?
Run? Come on, dude.
Should we pull up Kickstarter?
What? Because remember, it's all based on what you said. The Kickstarter shouldn't matter because it all depends.
I didn't say they should. I think they should fund. First off, I think Kickstarter should fund. I think the Kickstarter funding.
That's cool, but don't act like
that's cool.
You're throwing money out like I got tons of it. I'm making tons.
You asked me if I was good at sales. You said I'm not good at sales. I told you that I'm one of the top performing Kickstarter creators.
I know you're not good at budgets. I know that. From what I've just heard.
I mean, you know what's fucked up? I don't.
Basic business.
You know what's fucking crazy?
You don't know your numbers.
You know what's crazy? I don't have to budget because I sell comics. You have to budget. I don't have to budget. Right, yeah, you keep revealing how
we don't budget.
You said what?
Why would I budget? That would be,
No. You have to budget.
Yeah. Okay.
I just make books. I make books and then they sell and then I make another book. Excuse me. Let me be more specific. We're talking about numbers. I make the book. I launch a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter funds. I do a print run and then I make another again. Rinse and repeat. So I'm only bringing. I mean, you could. Some people can't fund.
You're doing great work.
Some people can't fund. I mean, I will sincerely take the clapping because it is a lot of people fail.
Hey, you are winning it out here.
I know. I mean, that's what really what I'm here for. Is it like, you're not a successful indie comic creator. Like, and I'm sure you were hyper successful in.
I'm not.
I'm sure you were hyper successful in those other areas.
I'm only 7 months in, so I guess I can't be as good as you. But that's right.
We can tell. No, I can tell. But the problem is, you're not talking like somebody who's 7 months in. You're talking like somebody who has all this experience.
Okay. I mean, you put out 7 this year. I put out 7 my first year. I guess we're equal that way.
How many of those funded?
I didn't fund them. I put them out. I put the money out of my pocket because I'm a big boy. I put the money out of my pocket that I had. I paid my people accordingly.
You checked your budget,
and then I got the stuff. That's what I did.
You checked your budget.
Big boys
Talk to your accountant.
I don't be like,
can I make a book this month?
Money. I was like, hey man, here's my stuff. Here's the money. Here's what we're doing. Let's put them out.
So let me ask you a question. Sorry to interrupt. I mean, you could have a successful comic and make money in comics and not be on Kickstarter. I mean, and you could just pay for it out of pocket, and that doesn't mean your book isn't successful. It just means that you didn't do it through Kickstarter.
It means that Kickstarter is not successful if it doesn't fund. Yeah,
but if you didn't go on Kickstarter, it's a moot point, right? I mean, because you can't say you failed if you were never on Kickstarter.
Is he on Kickstarter?
I don't think
you on Kickstarter.
I've had one book on Kickstarter. My most recent one I did on Kickstarter. My first 6, I did them out of my own pocket.
No. That's not what. Did you launch? How many books did you launch on Kickstarter?
1 book.
How did it do?
We didn't make it. We asked for 10,000. We didn't make it.
There are a lot of people that would say, I'm not going to write somebody off because they have a failed campaign, but like, I think.
Oh yes, because I mean, that's what I must be a failure because I didn't do the Kickstarter.
I don't think you're a failure,
but I think that's your business model. So
I don't think you're a failure. But I do think that you are not really talking at your level. Like, you're kind of like bringing like I said, you're kind of talking as if you are like a hyper successful indie comic creator. And I'm sure all that stuff you named off. And I'm being sincere here. I'm sure you were fantastic at it. And I'm sure that you will one day become fantastic in indie comics. Like, I truly believe that. But right now, you're not good at indie comics. And you're not good at any comics, and you're asking people questions, and you should, instead of asking, why don't y'all do this? You should say, why do I feel like I should do this? And you should like retune your instincts. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate your opinion. Based on what I've heard from you, I'm going to judge them with a little bit of skepticism. It's great. It's great. It's, but like, once again, your business model is based on a different than my business model.
100%.
100%.
I mean, you did say I was lying about my printing numbers, or
look, I'm just saying, I know printing.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
I think, well, hey, you don't have to believe I do or not. That's the best part. Like you told me.
Too skeptical about it.
I mean, look, I just know how printing works. I've been involved with it. If I don't know, I don't know. Hey, maybe you're doing something different I haven't heard about. Maybe something I haven't heard. It's possible.
Yeah, it's just called smaller print runs, bro. That's all that is.
At some point, why do a small print run?
To make the next.
That sounds like an ego situation. Why do a small print run? Why not put it out digitally, make some money, get some interest, get people excited about it?
If I launched digitally first and then did a Kickstarter after the fact, I would lose money. That's why. And I'm not alone in that. Like that. Or now, when you say release the Kickstarter, or digital? When you say, are you saying sell the digital and then maybe
you can promote it for free? You can. The best thing I like about
that I agree with. Now I think
you put up half the book and say, here's half the book. If you like this half, here's the other half for sale. Buy it here. You think people won't buy it?
I think
don't buy it.
I don't think people would. I don't think anybody wants half a book. Now, the model where you say, hey, here's the book, like here's the digital copy of the book, you can buy it and you can do that. That stuff works. Like that's a tried and true method in indie comics, right? Half the book. Who wants to check out half a book? That I'm skeptical of. That
if you check half a book for free, what does it cost you? Time.
But I could read something else. Like I could read Invincible. I could read half a book. Well,
right. But you already know it's Invincible successful. If it's a new book, how do you know?
I want to read Invincible though. Like, so what?
Yeah, but because you saw a TV show about Invincible.
No, because
you weren't reading Invincible before. People were not reading Invincible before.
Invincible is just an example, but sure. Like,
but I mean, and you said
I want to catch them on Absolute Batman.
Static earlier. I think a lot of people learned about Static because of the cartoon.
100%.
Right. I learned about static because I read comic books.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, and it's like, hey, Static was the only book that Milestone made.
I mean, you know, like I said, Invincible was just an example to show that like a high quality book that people are generally into. And what I was really saying is like, why would I now? I might take a swing on a full digital book, but half a digital book doesn't really. I mean,
so
yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't compute with how I perceive consumer interest.
I'll throw you something out there. So I had a friend, right? And I don't know if any of you know David Whalen. He introduced me to this guy. He did his first comic. He's an artist. This is not his day job, and he just released a book digitally, just for $1. There was no print run. He just released a digital copy for $1, right? But he wasn't looking as his first comic to like go and do a print run of this. It was just not. It was like a wrestling thing. It was just a one shot, right? To me, if you're releasing it that way and you're just dipping in and you're just doing a book for fun, and he's the artist, so we're talking about the writer, the artist, low stakes, right? That to me makes complete sense if you're going to do it that way.
When you have that context, that makes 100%. If it's minimal cost to you to make the book, doing a digital model, then going to print, that does make sense. But when
he doesn't even want to go to print, he doesn't even want to print the book.
No, I'm talking about the original. I'm talking about the original prompt. The thing is, you're in a book. You're in a group called like Indie Comic Business or some shit like that. I forgot what the name of the book is. So you're talking about people that are trying to like make money, like because they have to invest in the book and or like to make a return on that to get more books. So yeah, if you want to add that context, it does that does make sense to me. If you want to say release it free, I think that makes sense. That wasn't clear to me in the prompt, but again, that's something that's tried and true in indie comics, like 100%.
I mean, giving away things for free are tried and true in mostly every business.
But we're having a conversation about indie comics, so that's why I said that.
I'm talking about selling in business. They're not separate.
But we're talking specifically about indie
and selling work in other places to selling.
Not all the time. The techniques that sell a card is the same technique that sell a book.
Nothing works all the time anywhere. I didn't say that.
No, but the point I'm trying to make, and I already made this point, is that you should focus on, or at least filter these thoughts through the lens of indie comics. And you're telling me you've only made indie comics for 7 months. There was all kinds of thoughts that I had at 7 months of making indie comics that I don't have now. It's incredible to me that you would be 7 months into indie comics and asking people who probably universally have more experience than you, and then kind of condescend to them when they say, "Hey, what's even the purpose of this question? What's even
I think it's funny
the impetus behind this question?"
I think it's funny to somebody. What's the emphasis? It's a question. The emphasis of the question might just be a question, or I might be looking for information, or maybe I've missed something. I'm trying to find something new.
Yeah, I think your tone doesn't. I think your tone like would betray. That's why I'm like it comes off as if like you essentially should be doing that. Yeah, we're talking about how people come off.
First of all, I've had people come off on me like this. I've told people from day one, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'm a grown man,
for sure.
And how people take it, that's not how you take it.
100%.
I can't deal with your emotions. That's something you got to deal with. But like I said, what I've seen in the indie space, I've seen a lot of definite gatekeeping. Definite, you must be specifically this thing. I mean, one of the things I thought was really surprising to me that I don't get this at all. Ripperverse.
No. Yeah.
Like I said, not a fan of him personally, not my politics, not like that. But guys putting out his independent books, he's got his fan base. I've never seen so many people go after a guy for putting out books. And it's like you don't have to like what he talks about. You don't like about his politics. He's still putting out books and he's getting his customers what they want. And then people are like, well, you're not making that much kind of money. And then it's like, dude, it's like, I don't get this. I don't get all the negativity. And then when, God, I forgot the name of the book now. The comic book with the evil family. I can't think of his name now.
I ain't helping you out, brother.
What is it name?
You know, yeah.
I see the comic. I can't even think of the name right now.
User experience, bro. You know what it is.
I forgot it. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. I
actually don't know what we're talking about.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like
I'm sorry.
when he came out with stuff, people went, oh, you have to fit a very specific agenda. I think like I said, the gatekeeping is definitely real in indie comics. I mean, Jesus, you guys gatekeep in a way that I didn't think anybody.
Who's you guys? So you're not a part of indie comics?
Not my own self. I'm just me.
So you're not a part of indie comics. I mean, that shit. That's my point too.
Look.
That's my point. I won winning.
I'm a publisher. I don't need a title to say I'm an indie comic like that. I'm a grown man.
I said, are you a part of
indie comic book? Well, yeah, you can call me that if you want to. Great. I make comic.
You said y'all engage.
You all, because once again,
who's you all though? Is that indie comics?
I can't be with you because I don't have the experience based on what you told me. I can't be with you because I lack the experience. So it has to be you all.
Let me again. I'll address that again, and it's funny because it's not a matter of can't. Again, I never said can't. I never said you can't do this or you can't do that. I said you shouldn't. So it's not that a person who's been in the comics for 7 months can't ask a question. You said no, right. That's the point. Is that you're asking these questions because you're 7 months in. If you were to ask these same questions in 3 years, I'd be like, what the hell is wrong? You being 7 months in the comics makes total sense. Like if I were to go to the gym tomorrow and I was like, yo, why don't y'all do every single body part every day? They'd fucking laugh at me. It'd be like, that's not gatekeeping to say, hey, you shouldn't do that. You're gatekeeping me.
Once again, I've called you gatekeeping for what you said, not about the question I asked, about how your attitude has been towards me. That's all I'm talking about.
I'm not gatekeeping you, bro. I think you should ask questions. I think you should think about why you're asking the questions and what you would.
Once again, I think we're two different people who have different motives in what we're doing.
That's what I'm trying to say.
The way you do indie comics is the way you do indie comics, and that works for you.
Works very well for me.
Yeah, well, you keep saying that, and I keep going. But what is I go back to, you said successful. You kept saying successful.
They got funded.
But I'm like, I asked you how many you sold, and you never really said it.
And it's public information, brother.
1,000 was a lot. And I'm just like, wait a minute, maybe I'm missing something.
1,000 is a lot of indie of books to sell. For 1,000 of indie comics is a lot. That's a lot of indie books to sell.
All right. Well, I guess I'm from a different environment.
Brother, you have 83 backers on your Kickstarter. Like 1,000 would be tremendous for you. That would be astonishing for you to get to 1,000.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying, and I'm sure the sales are better in TTRPG. I'm sure that's typical for a TTRPG, but we're just in a different medium. It's not gatekeeping to tell you that.
And I just think it's a very funny medium. It's just to see what people think is successful compared to something else. When you look at
it's relative.
Like, you guys are really in a very different thing. And once again,
it is a different. Once again, you're kind of.
Why you guys are not teaming up and doing more stuff together? I don't get that part. Why you guys are not teaming up and doing more stuff together? Everybody's trying to be their own little individual castle out here.
You just said you're individual. When I asked if you were in the comics,
yeah, but I'll be more than happy to team up with somebody. I've said that. Hey, why don't you? Because I've done it before. I've done it in the TTRPG.
You haven't done it in comics, though.
Do very well there, but you guys don't seem to do that. I've been asked about that. So I was like, why don't you guys do it more often? That seems kind of odd to me. And everybody says the same thing. Oh, I can't trust anybody. They won't do it the way I want. And it's like
a 50-50 split. That's crazy. That's absolutely.
Like, you guys seem very, very like, I don't want anyone to see what I'm doing. It's like, what is going on out here? You guys are you're different. You're different. You guys.
Did you listen to people's answers when you asked that?
I saw the answers.
Did you internalize it? Did you like?
But I said we work differently in the field I'm from. We work differently. People will team up and do stuff. You guys don't. You guys don't do that. That's not what you guys do.
When there's a lot. Like I said, I feel like what is going on is I had some suspicions that were more or less confirmed by what you're saying. You're like, hey, all the basis of my perspective is rooted in something entirely different that, frankly, this isn't like a manga to comics or like movie to TV comparison. They're really two vastly different things. In terms of sales, it's relative. Like what a mainstream movie makes versus what a mainstream TTRPG makes is peanuts. If fucking Christopher Nolan went to the TTRPGs and like, yeah, y'all do shit, y'all numbers are different. It's like, yes, it's a different thing.
Yeah, if you pick the 1% of 1%, yeah.
1%. If Corey Barker came over and said TTRPGs, he said like shit.
Christopher Nolan is probably on the top list.
You say Curry Barker.
There are people who do stuff, independent stuff, and I've seen them go back and forth. And people that started in RPGs and moved over to comics because they think there's more money. Like I said, I go with Jim Zub because I know Jim. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, interviewing with him. So it's like, yeah. But it's funny to see that the opportunities seem to be so much greater to do that kind of thing in this industry, but it doesn't happen.
And we don't have it figured out, but you got to figure it out. Or when you asking people, because you told me when people told you didn't internalize it, so it's like you kind of are just asking the question like rhetorically, essentially. That's what you're telling me. So when I ask the question,
99% don't make any money, but you said you're on the elite of it, and you're selling.
I am one of the better convention sellers, yeah.
Right, and you said that you told me that. So the 99 people will not make any money. So right.
What does that? No.
The majority of people wouldn't make money, but if you're the top seller and you're the top guy,
you got a fund. But
that same thing, there are people making $2,000 and $3,000.
If the book costs $500 and you make $2,000 on Kickstarter, that is a 4x ROI, and that's on the first market. And then you have, I'm gonna flatten it out because they're all the same retailers and online sales, right? So then they can proceed to make more money. If the book cost $4,000 and then it was a $2,000 Kickstarter, I would deem that as less of a success. I mean, it's all relative.
This is my question, because I think when we talk about success in comics, and I'm not a comic creator, but this is just how I view it, is that if you go in with a business plan with this, where your first round is Kickstarter, and your goal is that you want to make money with your book, right? So I don't care if you make all your money on your Kickstarter, you make it at a convention, you make it online, as long as you made money and you 5x, no matter how you did it, to me, that's success, right?
Okay.
Now we could have a discussion, get into the weeds of this, but that's how I determine success. Much like I run my eBay business, where the goal is to make money. So it doesn't matter if I sell it on eBay or if I sell it at a card show. If I paid $80 for a card and I sold it for $300, does it really matter where I sold it? I made money on it, because at the end of the day, the goal is to make more money than you put in your book.
I do think
so. That's the definition of success.
Right. But
I think the most effective way, the most efficient way to make that ROI is through Kickstarter. For sure. It has like one of the bigger reader bases, whatnot. Has a huge base, but they have to be fucking online. Like there's so much other shit. Whereas a Kickstarter, you can set the shit kind of more or less forget it. You don't get that. You don't get that audience in. But you are correct. Wherever you make you can. The problem is, and I think this is where I agree with Enemy One, is that, or I'm assuming he would agree with this, is that Kickstarter is not the end all be all, and also Kickstarter is like one of like a bunch of different markets. So I think we would agree there. So if you don't make the money on Kickstarter, there's plenty of the other ways to make money. Like some of my books are like in the red on Kickstarter, but in the black through conventions and shit like that, like 100%.
But I think you also have to earn a certain percentage to consider yourself to be a success. Like I said, if you go to Kickstarter or whatever you sell, you make $9,000, but it costs you $901.
I would say it's successful. I would say it's successful in the sense that you generated $9,000, and then you can sit there and say, for instance, I do Kickstarter consulting for multiple clients and stuff like shit like that. So the number, you can leverage the number.
Incredibly important.
I mean, like I said, go ahead, Andrew.
Like, how do you know?
What I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, is that depending on your business, right? So I run an eBay business. I need to know my numbers on everything, right? I know my numbers on shipping. I know my numbers on this, but I don't think either one of you would say, because it's not a comic business, it is a card collectible comic collectible business, and I need to know my numbers, right?
Exactly.
But I don't know comics, so I don't want to start making statements and speak out of turn. But I can definitely say that if you were running an eBay business the way I was, and you didn't know your numbers, I would be terrified for it. Both of you.
The fact is, we are still in a creative endeavor. So we are still.
Yes.
We are still. So I know that I'm getting enough revenue to say, okay, cool. But I look at like, okay, I got enough revenue to make X, Y, Z.
I mean, how would you notice that you had a small leak?
You said what?
you could have a small leak and not even realize it, because if you don't know, like I said, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your percentages. You run an eBay business. I'm willing to bet you when you make 15% on a sale, that's probably your base number of like, oh, that's a good. I made a good.
My base number is 32%.
But you knew it exactly. I said 15. I don't know, but you knew exactly what it was. Why? Because it's that important to you. That's your life's blood, right?
I mean, it took a while to figure it out. I mean,
I'm
not gonna lie here. This
but you figured it out because you knew how important that number was.
I know my exact numbers per product SKU for more or less within about a percentage point.
Right. But like I said, if you made 20, you know the difference, and you know the kind of effect that.
Does that make his eBay business more successful than my comic business? I wouldn't say so necessarily. Not off that.
I mean, it makes it successful.
Right. You're not, like you said, like it is a business. Like you're like reselling, right? So like, yes, you are strictly making it for business purposes. I'm not making comics. I really only care about money in comics as far as how much more can I invest back in comics? Like essentially, like that.
Yeah,
that's how.
But it comes to a point of how do you know you're not just losing money based on your time you're putting in there and stuff like that. That's why I say you have a budget. I mean, look, I don't know your personal life. I'm a single parent now. I have a son who's blind. I know how much time I have to do for stuff. I know stuff that I can do. I can either work on these comics or I can spend time with my son. Which one of these has the better value for me?
Right.
So that's why I got to know my numbers. I don't know about your situation like that. That's the way I work, because I think it's that kind of important.
Yeah,
and like I said, and God forbid I get sick or get hurt.
Right.
I have
Stokes
other businesses.
Made a good point earlier on, and he said about financial stability and other things.
Yeah,
so
100%.
That does factor in. Where
right.
I mean, if
you do have something to lose, essentially, like you're picking working on comics, or
but I've also put in a cushion because of the other stuff I've done.
Right.
The money I made on the TTRPGs, I bought houses with.
Hell yeah.
When I sell my houses, I use that money. I can start up comics. That's why it's not a big issue for me. I got the money. I got this house. I sell this house.
Yeah.
All right. So that kind of stuff. We have plans for that.
I like hearing about that shit, but that you still have something to lose. If you built, the thing you have to lose is your cushion to make more comics.
Right. But I also know that I can make more money. I can always make more money. I'm never afraid of losing money. I don't like losing money, but I'm not going to worry about losing it, because I know if I made it, you make it again. You got to just, okay, how would I do? I do this, do this, do this. Okay, let's do that.
If money is truly no object for you, and let me tell you something. I love hearing that you bought a house from the TP. I love that shit. That shit is fly as hell. That's fucking fire. If you wouldn't consider, I'm only saying this because you said time with your son or making comics, right? So if your comic book making is inefficient, right, that could be time spent with your son, right? I would say, and again, just my perspective, I'm not telling you should feel this way. I would say that's something to lose. I would say that spending time with your loved ones versus making comics, I would say that's
right.
That's something that I factor in. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm on the road for 14 weekends out the year doing conventions, right? How many of those I'm gonna want to chill, like I want to like chill and shit, but I gotta see my family. Like, okay, cool. That's why it's so important to me to be hyper efficient. Like, so when I'm with my family, when I'm showing my family, I can really enjoy that chill time and stuff. I would say that that's something to lose, even if it's not financial. Now imagine if you didn't have that cushion from TTRPGs, right? And I'll give you an example. Is this guy, I'm not gonna say his name. He wanted to make a choice with his first Kickstarter. He wanted to try something, right? I told him, bro, that's gonna raise your price, your printing price up. That's all it's gonna do. I don't think it's gonna result in a lot more sales. It's gonna raise your printing up. Makes the book, does his thing, right? I talked to him. He's trying to get something done. I'm like, yo, bro, you should just get a new piece of artwork for this mate. He said, I'm out of money. And it's like, essentially the choice that you made, in spite of people telling you, and again, it was his right to make the choice. Like I didn't say you can't do this. Now, I think his future in making comic books is a little bit compromised if he can't get a single piece of artwork made. That's something to lose. People have something. There's a single thing that I'm going to try to actually convince you about through this conversation, because we can go our separate ways and have our own perspectives. People have shit to lose. This shit costs money. And even if it doesn't cost money, it's an artist and it's opportunity cost. Artists can only sit in front of a tablet for so long in their lives. They can only do so many lines, so many times in their life. So all of this, it's not high stakes. It's not life or death, but there are stakes.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's always going to be stakes, and there's that. And being a single father, but my son is 16. He's going to be going to college soon. I will not be dealing with stuff. All the stuff. The reason I started this 7 months ago is because the last 14 years I was raising him up, doing everything as a good parent would. Now he's a little more independent. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I have more opportunity being older. I have more money saved. I've done better deals, so I have more options. So yes, can I lose money? Absolutely. Do I make calculated chances? Of course, because you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I'm not 40. I'm not 30. I'm not 20. I'm much older. So stuff I can do, I can do better. And the experience that I have, I can cut corners that most people can't cut. Oh, you need a piece of art done? I know this person, somebody can get it for you done in no day. No problem. Boom. Here's the money. This person will work for you this price. Oh, that's great. But I really need it for this price. Okay, great. That kind of stuff you learn over time. And I said, and if I'd done it just purely comic books, I wouldn't know. Honestly, I wouldn't know how to deal with printers. I wouldn't know how you can strong arm a printer. I've had the pleasure of doing that. I've done it enough times. Like I said, I know those numbers. Those numbers are important. I have to know those numbers because the choices are spend time doing this, spend time with my son, or spend time with whatever woman I'm trying to see.
So you do have something to lose.
I don't think there's anything to lose. It's not a one or other. It's not. You have to make choices.
You did present it as one or the other earlier.
Well, like I said, I'll put it this way: you have something to lose, time. But you only have.
I think that's stupid, right? I mean, I don't think that's insignificant either.
Right, but now,
and I do think it's irresponsible because I don't know how much a TTRPG costs. Like I don't. Like I've never done it. I have no clue. I would imagine it's less art, maybe.
Oh.
More art. Okay, cool. So see,
you guys paying art, and what we do is that's why I can't imagine. That's like you guys. I don't know how you don't do it without a budget.
Yeah, the reality is and I'm not trying to brag. I just make I just make so much revenue, and I just say, okay, cool. I can make this book. And it just comes in. You know what I'm saying? I do a lot of conventions. I just get a lot of. I got a lot of revenue streams, and we just keep this shit moving because it is a business for me in the sense of as much as I need it, as much business I need to make comic books. Like for me, that's all that matters. But again, I think you and I are fortunate enough to have, right, like a back, like you said, like rainy day, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think a lot, but I feel like if Andrew went and started making comics, he'd probably be all right because he can fold himself with the eBay money, right? That is not common. So when we're saying, and to me, it is irresponsible to now. Again, I think we should separate. You should try stuff and be open to ideas. Separate that from, hey, just fucking throw anything at the wall,
out the window, and do some crazy stuff.
Right? Yes, that's my point there, and it's just like because there was a point where it was in question if I could make comics anymore. There was a couple. There's times where I've been like kind of like cutting close on some shit, and in that time, it's like you have a couple different doors you can walk through. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm fortunate enough to be like I can do stuff for fun. You know what I mean? Like I went to San Diego Comic-Con. Like that didn't. There was zero shot I was getting into black based off of that trip. But I did it because it was fucking fun. I got to like connect and network and stuff like that. So I think the core problem with comics and indie comic discourse is you have, and some people don't like these words. I'll say hobbyists / doing this for fun versus the serious business people. And of course, these people can mingle, but at the end of the day, they have two completely repellent philosophies when it comes to making their stuff. And then so if one, you know, what is right choice for one is the right choice for other. And what I think you're saying makes a lot of sense for the hobbyist. Just go have fun. If I'm paying $40 a page for a book, do whatever fuck you want, right? Like it's like you're coloring on the walls of a condemned house. Go fucking nuts, right? But when they caught, like when it's 100 a page, like that's the quantifiably higher stakes for that.
So I have a word for it. I have a word for that. It's called the wantrepreneur. So wantrepreneur, and I'll be the first person. I'm in a weird position with this show, to be honest, because I do this show because I want to do it. The stakes are relatively low. It costs me about $50 a month to do it, but you know, I try to put out good quality and I try to stay relatively consistent. And I do 80 to 100 interviews a year, and I'm having a good time doing it. But you know, it is, and it's slowly going up, and it has been for the last few years. But I don't know. I don't want this as my job.
Right.
That would kill me. It would be miserable to do this for a full-time living. And it's really hard to make money doing a podcast. It's really fucking hard.
But this is a hobby. This is a hobby, which isn't a bad thing to do. You can have.
But I make a little bit of money doing it. You know, I would say that I got half my costs covered with my sponsor, which is pretty good. Right. And you know how many shows have sponsors? Very few do. It is hard to get sponsors. So the point is that, you know, but it also benefits my eBay business because it gives me perspective into buying patterns. Right. So it is research and development. But the point I'm making is that there's the wantrepreneurs, and you said it well, where go have at it and go fucking nuts, right? And have a blast, right? But you know, I mean, but that doesn't mean you still can't make money doing it as a hobbyist. You can make a decent amount of money, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, and I definitely can't float a comic. I want to make that crystal clear right now.
Okay.
Right now, I'm economically okay, but I'm not great. And it's been a rough, you know, year in my world. But we don't have to talk about that. That's not about me. But eventually I will be able to float a comic. But eBay is not easy. eBay is not easy right now.
Nothing is easy, especially comics. Like if you look around, a bunch of the publishing houses are shrinking. They're not even accepting. The only places I know that accepting like submissions is Image, and you know who knows if Image is even monitoring the shit. People ask that all the time, and shit. I mean that's pretty much it.
The point I'm making is that this is a small cycle in reality, in my opinion, where I think things are going to get better. And right now the economy is a disaster. When the economy is a disaster, everybody's shrinking. And my mom is right now trying to get a book published. And I know it's a different medium, but even those publishing houses are shrinking. So, and that's if comics are shrinking and, you know, novels are shrinking or other books are shrinking and then movies are shrinking too and a bunch of stuff, it's not coincidental that all the media is limiting their submissions because the economy is rough. It's not easy to do it. Consumer patterns have changed slightly. And that's my point that I'm trying to make. But this will pass and things will open up again.
But also,
just on a cycle.
Technology has changed us.
That is as well a factor too. But sorry for interrupting.
No. I mean, I just think people need to be more. People need to be more intent, have more intent with what they do. And they need to. I had a conversation with somebody. I was like, "Hey, are you a hobbyist? Like, what's your like?" I said, "You sound like a hobbyist right now." Like what you are saying in the words that you are using in terms of using our hobbies. He was like, yeah, you're basically calling me unprofessional. I'm not, I mean, not unprofessional way that people may mean, but unprofessional in the sense that, yes, you are not talking like a professional. And then they had to kind of figure out what they wanted. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't doing that. And to be fair, I believe the question that was posed was in a indie comic business group. It was specifically in a group that was for I'm assuming for making money. You know what I'm saying?
But not everybody feels that way. I mean, it does say business, but people, what's the difference? I don't know. I'm a hobbyist. I'm a professional. It's like, look, you're only professional if this is how you earn your money and this is how you eat with. That's what I think professional is.
I mean, I'll throw something out there. So Matt Knowles gave me a good position on what is a professional, right? You're getting paid to do something. Now, if you are getting paid, now we could have an open discussion, and there are many different levels. So, you are a different professional in comics than somebody who just wants to publish 2 issues of their book, right? But if somebody, published a 4-issue miniseries and got paid $12,000 to do it, I think they, in some aspects, are a professional. I mean, I don't know, because the definition of being a professional is that you are paid to do a job, in essence. Now,
I think it's perspective. I think not perspective, prospective. So when I say I want to be a comic professional, for me, that means I would like to have a majority, a lot of my income be from comic books. I want, guest tables. I want doors to be open as a result of my professional career. I want infrastructure to be made available to me as a result of eventually. And then another professional might be like, I want $80,000 a year, right? I think the important thing is the intent and what are you trying to get out of comics. And this just occurred to me. It sounds like Enemy One is, in that regard, already set. He said he's got this business. This is his side business, essentially, right? Like the TTRPG is your main shit. You said you bought some houses, lit. So
that's another side business. It's one of those things. Like I got lucky in life. I've got a lucky.
You're chilling.
I got a good job. I did that. Now I got a lot of side business where I can try other stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and I said, but I made sacrifices to put myself in that.
Hell yeah. No, 100%. I said to say that we have a completely different, and it just occurred to me, we have a completely different mentality. And the pro versus hobbyists, they always clash. And I think I think it happens as a result of like hobbyists shouldn't be in a comic business group. If it should, I'm not saying they can't. If based on the understanding of what the group is, right? Now, if we're in a comics for fun group, and I say, what's Shaw's ROI looking like? That to me, that would be antithetical to what that group would be. And then if somebody were to have a problem with what I was saying, I think they'd be justified.
I mean, like I said, that's me, it's personal opinion for that kind of thing, but it's like, it's business. My idea of business is you talk about business. You could be a hobbyist and still talk about the business. Like you said, it depends on, if you make $100,000, you make $10. Someone paid you for what you wanted, you got paid. So that makes you a professional in my book. If you do it every day, that's very much a professional.
Don't you think those two people are different? They're going to have different perspectives. And
I mean, look, like I said, I'm a professional graphic designer. Why? Because I've been doing it for 30 years. This is how I earn my money. This is how I eat. That makes me a professional. Am I a professional game publisher? I guess. I mean, I got 1,000 products. I've done books. I got a game option as a movie one time. It's like, yeah, is it possible? Yeah, I guess I am. But do I consider myself that? But do I know my numbers? Of course. I think it's all about what you want out of it for yourself, and whatever that means to you. And that's what I said. You gotta be willing to try all kinds of things. I'm try it out. The worst thing that can happen is you go to zero. Right. Figure out you got to get some more money and get up and do something again.
Oh, shit. Do I pay my bills or make a comic book?
Yeah, but it's once again, if like I said, I go to my favorite inspiration, Prince. Prince wanted to
happen. This is a real scenario. There's a real scenario. People get behind on their books because I got an X amount of money. My bills are due. The print run's going to cost $3,000. My mortgage is $2,000, and I have $4,000. I spent the money on my mortgage, and now I can't fulfill it. And I can't. So it's not even a hypothetical.
Then to me, it's like then you should either find another job or you need to make some extra money, put some extra hustle in to get the stuff that you promised. That's one reason. That's another thing I don't like about Kickstarter. People, I've been involved with Kickstarter a long time at the beginning, where people were just doing stuff and taking the money and running.
I'll ask a question, and how many Kickstarters has everybody been screwed here on? Just curiosity.
I don't even be counting them shit.
I've gotten lucky. Not that many. Not that many.
I've been screwed on 4, right? 4. I backed 170, I think, and I've been screwed on 4, right? I don't know if that's high or low. I'm not happy with any of it. And
Right.
but I've had a project that was supposed to be in my hands. I backed it in November, it was supposed to be in my hands in May, and it took like a year and a half to get me. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I bet you if I bought from 140 retailers, 4 of those orders would be fucked up, right? But because I don't identify Walmart as the general manager of Walmart or the district manager, I identify the Kickstarter creator with Kickstarter, the platform, and as the creator. So it stands out more. It's more personal. But I would say, I mean, that's like 3%, like 97% success rate. Like,
oh no. I'm still backing campaigns. But,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
When you get burned, you back off for a week or two, or 3 or 4 weeks, and then sorry.
You saying a year makes me laugh because it's like those are that's not a lot of time. I mean, like on the TTRPG, there's a guy you can Google this one, far west with thing. This guy was like 8 years late. He was 8 years late. He finally put the stuff out, blamed everybody but himself. People went nuts. There was like, I think he actually got served a lawsuit because he was so late, because people said it was fraud. And this is, god damn, this must have been, my wife was still alive. So we're talking 2012, 2013. And it was like, this is when this guy did it, and he just flopped it. I know guys who signed up stuff, never just took money and ran. Didn't even try to, like, well, took the money, gone, bye. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, just taking the money. What you gonna do?
I think that does happen, but I also think what also happens is people, to your point, budget, they miss budget or what have you, and their life expenses eat into their Kickstarter money.
Well,
to be fair, as to why you or I may be able to get out of that hole is that we have other revenue streams. But as Andrew pointed out, the economy is shit, right? So it may not be it's not going to be as easy to get out of a hole when somebody has a side business, another side business, and
but the first thing you can do is stop digging. Stop digging the hole you're in. Most people continue on still doing the same thing, and expect to get out of the hole. And it's like, come on, dude, stop doing the most big. And look, you might have to work extra, or even crazier, you might have to plan that you're going to fail from right off the bat. If you plan that you're going to fail,
I mean,
and you still feel you got the money, you're still in a good spot. But most people don't. Most people assume they're never going to fail. And then
I'll be honest.
They act all funny.
I'll be honest, and this will give insight. So right now, I'm in a hole, and in many ways, I have to dig deeper to get out of the hole.
Yeah,
because sometimes when you have an eBay business, you have to pick up product, and you have to figure out a way how to do it. And the hole gets worse, the hole gets lighter, and it moves around. And the hole's moving around, right? And there are ways how to deal with it and other stuff. And that's the cycle of business, right? It happens to every business. And there's no doubt that I'm in a slight hole right now in my eBay business because it's moving slow. But the assets I'm holding are worth money, right, but they're not moving. So when you have an asset and a card that's worth $1,200, but nobody's buying it, but you know that in 8 months from now, somebody's going to buy it for $800 or $1,000, and that just happened, but took 2 years to move the asset. You have a choice to make, and it sucks.
But you do have a number where it's like at this point this is where it's over. This is where I
understand completely why all this happens, right?
Yeah, but he's a business owner. He's not a comic book creator. Like, and I think it is a bit again, I think I think I have a problem like looking outside your perspective here, because you're like, yo, just get another job. It's like it's a recession. Like, people are broke as shit. Like, not, a lot of people are hiring. I think it's potentially a little bit more tricky, more tricky than that, especially because you're talking about like getting a large sum of money at one time. right? Like,
or you could do like I suggested before you start doing something like this. Plan like you want to lose.
Just
I don't think playing to fail doesn't. What would planning to fail look like?
It's okay. It's like this. If I've got a gun and I've only got 8 bullets, but I need 14, I might have thought of earlier, maybe I should bring more than 8 bullets.
You should shoot yourself in the head.
Because hey man, God forbid these 8 miss. How about
what about like a comic playing to fail? Like not a metaphor, but like a hypothetical.
Hypothetical? Okay, I want to do a comic book. I know it costs X amount of dollars. I can go to Kickstarter and attempt doing it, but how about if I do this? How about if I go and find a job that raises 90% of what I'm looking to get? Still do the Kickstarter. So even if I flop say if the Kickstarter flop, I still got enough money that I can cover the majority of it. Most people don't do that. Most people are like, oh, I'm just gonna keep buying it and just try it out and see what happens.
Get a job for your comic, your prospective comic.
Get a job for your investment for the thing you're doing. If you don't have the money, why would you sit up and do it? I mean, yeah, you can try anything you want, but at least have the money. But like
I think if you're new, you don't know what expenses might pop up.
But you make it sound like expenses is something you can't budget for.
When I say you can't budget, when I say you can't budget,
you can budget.
Who said you can't budget?
Well, then if you can budget for it, then you know how much money you need to save to do the thing.
You have to know how. You have to know what a comic. You're saying that you understand how to finesse printing because you've done printing for 30 years. If it's your first book, you don't know that. You don't know how to finesse the printer. You don't know what expenses. When I got my first comic book done, because there was nothing, you had to, this was graphic design, might have known, but I looked how to print. They didn't say anything about margins, bleed, none of that shit. I had to pay somebody like $250 to extend the bleed essentially. And then I found out later, the fucking artist could have just extended the bleed. All they did was it was just a black bar. Like that's the kind of stuff you just don't know. And the information isn't readily available in that way unless you have a graphic. Go. Like if you know what a bleed is, it's extremely easy to find out.
Yeah, I know.
To find out what bleed is. If you don't know what bleed is, and this isn't somebody with 30 years experience, it's somebody with 5 years experience. This is 5 years ago.
Trust me, I've trained enough people. I know people don't know. But like I said, but the information now is much more readily available.
In 2021, was it readily available?
Yes. You got to remember, I was doing this in 1992. There's talking pre-internet when we were doing this kind of stuff. We were putting books together and discovering this. It wasn't like, I wonder if I could go to Google. Google would tell me what this bleed thing is, or how to put together a book. Kids now have more information to put together a book than I ever had.
There's a lot more false information too. There's so much information. Sometimes it's hard to find what you're looking for. I would love to go through indie comic TikTok and see how many of them talk about bleed. That's not what they talk about. What do they talk about? They talk about budgeting, and which is important. Granted, budgeting for your shit is important. They're talking about story. They talk about like what distribution.
Because they don't understand what printing is and their book. They don't understand that.
These are people that are telling people how to make indie comics.
People lie. I mean, you go on Instagram, you hear all kinds of people say kinds of foolish stuff. Do this, do that, dude. Just once again.
So is the information out there or not?
There's utterly more information out there now than there ever was,
and more misinformation.
I think there's tons of information, but there's tons of misinformation. But you can find it. People,
you just said people lie.
Kind of bubble to the top all the time. Everybody's saying the same thing over.
If you're new, how do you distinguish the misinformation from the real information? Because you said people lie.
People do lie. How do you do that in your real life? You find out, you test it, you make sure. Oh, is this okay?
I'm 33 years old. I've had 33 years of experience in life. I've had.
And you
if I had 6,
you can't Google. Huh? You can't Google. I mean, Google is pretty readily available.
This is the problem I had, and this is the problem I had with talking with. This is the pitfalls I have with talking to somebody from a different generation. Is that I think they have trouble looking outside of their own perspective, because you just admitted, hey, there's so much information. Didn't account for the misinformation that comes along with that information. And you're like, hey, you treat comics just like life. But again, I had if I'm 20 years old, I've had 20 years of experience in life. I haven't made a comic book before. Okay. And then if I go back to Google, that kind of sets us back to my original point that there's a lot of misinformation. Okay. And the people that are giving information on how to start making indie comics, because they have a graphic design background, they don't even think to tell you about this stuff. And like, sure, you could look up a template, but to look up a template because of your graphic design background.
Okay, because this is what I did before when I didn't know. I went out and said, I found somebody who was doing it and said, hey, I've got X amount of dollars. Can you teach me how to do this? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm doing. Can you please help me? I'm willing to pay you for this knowledge. And I did that for an entire year. The guy who taught me graphic design, I paid him $50 an hour for an entire year, every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Did a year before I even got into doing graphic design. The problem what I've noticed in your generation is you want it served up to you on a platter that you can just take it, dissect, and just go. You might have to dig a little bit for stuff. You might have to do a little bit of work.
What you don't know. And
right. But don't be so afraid to try anything. You just be paralyzed.
I never said I was afraid. I did try. I told you what happened. I did try it.
And what did you learn?
I learned about margins.
And you learned how valuable.
But I had the $250 to spend.
And you learned how valuable it was. That was the best money you spent, didn't you?
I'm
going to bet you never made that mistake ever again, didn't you?
This the shit I'm talking about. Right. Hold on, Andrew. Let's circle back. Let's circle back to my point was you can only budget for what you know about. There was an unforeseen $250 expense that I could eat because I had other revenue streams. And we were at that point not in an economic recession. So it wasn't a matter of not digging. That wasn't it. Hey, what are some things I should learn in comics? And
actually, it was because you didn't know what you didn't know.
How do I search for something I don't?
Did you pick up a book on printing? Did you read
that wasn't even a thought for me.
So you want me to say that I should be more forgiving for you because
I know so forgiving
because you didn't do the research before the thing you got yourself involved with to know what you should know, at least the basic.
I'm telling you,
play basketball, you don't grab the ball and just start hitting guys. You say, hey, what are the rules of this thing?
You and these metaphors. You talk about you pull example for everything but indie comics.
Well, you know
what I'm saying to you, I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna answer your question because now you're saying I didn't do research, and this is the problem when you have these conversations because you don't listen. I said I did the research.
I don't waste time with bullshit and excuses.
It's not an excuse.
It's an excuse.
No.
$250 because you didn't know about bleed, but you didn't do any research to talk to a printer about what you needed. You didn't say, "Hey, I don't know shit from Shinola. Could you spend some time with me to explain to me what I need to know?" Why didn't you do that? That's the most basic thing. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you?
You asked me rhetorically, like your Facebook
post.
No,
I'm being serious. Why didn't you ask?
You asked me, okay.
Why didn't you ask?
When I go to answer you this, I don't want to hear a single word out of you till I finish.
Sure.
I don't want to hear a single syllable out of what I'm telling you is in 2021. And I'm sure even now, if I were to go on Indie Comic TikTok, when they tell you, hey, what do I need to know for indie comics? The printing didn't come up. The printing didn't come up because who made this point that you don't have to print an indie comic out? Who made that point? I still don't want you to talk, but it was you. You made that point that you can release it digitally and then do it later. Okay. So the indie comics aren't synonymous with printing, right? And then I didn't know. 1, 2, we were talking about budgeting. And I was saying that you don't know what you don't know, and that expenses can come out that you don't know about. And then I use it as an example of the bleed. That's why I brought that up. I'm not making excuses. You don't have to cry for me. I'm saying that could have been debilitating for somebody else, but I, at the time, had the income to insulate myself from that sort of thing. And you're right. I learned. But if I was more broke, that could have made the wheels fall off. Does that make sense? I don't ask rhetorical questions.
I'll wait till you're done. I want to make sure.
I don't ask rhetorical questions. You're good. When I ask a question, you can answer.
if you're going into a field that you don't understand anything about, the first question to be is find an expert in it. That's the first thing. And you didn't do that. You talk to people online, but you're talking to printers. You're talking to printers. Why didn't you talk to the printer? If you don't know anything about printing, why would you talk to people online? Why not talk to the printer? Printers are very informative. That's what I would have done.
Because you have a graphic design background.
No.
That definitely plays a part of it.
That's common sense to me. If I'm doing something that I don't know
graphic design background,
go find an expert on it.
2 + 2.
Go find one and talk to them.
I mean, I'm going to challenge both of you on this because I don't think it's common sense. I don't. Now, I agree that it's good information.
It's great. It's a great best practice. 100%.
It should be common sense, but I'm walking into something, right? I hate to use something that. Let me finish my point because I think it's relevant, right? Because I think it's actually going to be relevant to this. Is that I'm walking into eBay, right? And I know it's not indie comics. I don't know how to ship something up for international shipping. So you know what is? The first time I did it, that did not go well. But guess what happens? I didn't even know to call up eBay and ask them how to do it, right? Didn't even cross my mind because you go on eBay, not eBay, but you go on Google and they're like, oh, you just do this. And then I finally had somebody who wanted to buy something that was in Spain. I called the eBay. They're like, this is the easiest thing. All you do is send it to Kentucky. Here, it's going to cost you another 20 cents, right? But it didn't even cross my mind. And I know this sounds stupid, but no offense to anybody. And you know, but people, it sometimes doesn't connect in your head to ask a simple question. And I'm not trying to make people sound stupid, but sometimes you don't even know where to start to ask the question either, right? You know, I mean, I'll ask you, Stokes. Did you even know where to ask bleed, right? Did you? Even
I didn't know bleed existed. I didn't know bleed. The problem is there's a lot of beginner advice for indie comics, and there's a lot of expert advice for indie comics. And the in between was missing for sure, 100%.
And then the other thing I want to mention too is that there's so many parts, right? I mean, I'm going to throw out a number. I think there's 50 to 60 parts to make a comic, both story, writing, editing, and there's the creative side, there's the business side, there's how many covers, where you're launching your book, where you're going to get your book in, what do you do, how do you set up a Kickstarter? I mean, and I'm being generous when I say that.
You think you're making excuses right now? That's what he's thinking.
At some point, I got to just ask yourself, why did you think the most easiest basic thing would have been, I got to find somebody who knows more than me. Maybe that's my generation. That's where we came from. But it's like, I got to find somebody who knows more than me. I didn't know much. You
already were established in two other mediums, so you knew to ask that.
Please. I didn't know anything about graphic design when I became a graphic designer, but I knew somebody knew more than me. So I went and talked to them. That was the first thing I did. Hey, I'm interested in graphic design. Can you tell me some stuff that I don't know? And that was the first step. And I did that. And when I learned more stuff, I found more guys who had more experience than me. And I asked them, have you ever had this problem? Have you ever heard this before? Like I said, I don't understand.
You got two successful business people telling you that this is a reality. And I guess I can just fuck us.
Who are much younger than me, who have not done the things that I've done just to do basic stuff. Like I said, why wouldn't you go talk to the printer? You wanted to print a
printer?
No. You wanted to print a book. Why did you talk to the printer? Okay, hey, how do I need to give this to you?
What you are saying
to do this in? How did you think the printer was going to print? You just send it to them and print, and that's it.
That's not.
I mean, you don't know anything about printing, so why would you not ask them?
That's not common sense.
I don't know anything.
But you like Andrew.
I'd be like, hey, I broke my arms. Who should I talk to? Maybe
another out of example metaphor.
Can Stokes respond?
Because again, you ask more rhetorical questions and shit.
No, these are rhetorical. These are common.
No, these are rhetorical because you didn't even you asked a bunch of questions. Then you pause and let them have an answer.
I think some of them are just stupid. It's like, why don't
you're right. We were stupid. We were dumb. That's what I'm telling you. You're dumb, and then you learn later. That's my point. But I'm saying is that where you and I had the fucking breathing room to that's the fail. To fail and make up that some people do not, and then it compounds. Do you know why? If the problem is that I thought the printing and the drawing were separate. That's what I thought. In retrospect, does that seem foolish? Yeah. I feel like a dumbass. It's kind of embarrassing. The fact that let me
how much time
let me let the point.
Comic book publishing before you started publishing?
Because I keep trying. I don't know how many times.
No. Because that's no. How much time did you spend learning before the process before you actually did it?
A lot, bro. I was extremely.
No. I don't want this. I don't want vague terms. I want you to tell me when you started saying I'm going to do a comic book to when you started printing. Was it a year? Was it 3 years? Was it 12 years? Or was it 6 months? Because I have a feeling it was a lot shorter than you think it was, but you thought it was a long time, but you thought you knew.
Waiting for me to wait till I get a response in.
No, please.
It was years. Like it wasn't.
How did you not know the process? Why didn't you talk to a printer?
So it is rhetorical because you're not even waiting for me to answer. You notice how many rhetorical questions you ask where you ask the question and then don't let the person respond without cutting them off immediately when they try to answer.
I just can't understand.
You still coming?
I just can't.
If you don't care about my perspective, then why am I answering the question? Do you want to hear my answer?
It's not that I don't care about it.
Enemy, do you want to hear my answer?
I don't believe it.
Do you want to hear my answer? Yes or no?
Please,
okay,
please.
So I need you to shut the hell up. And as I try to tell you for the 12th time, yes, there is a lot of information when I started doing comics in 2021. Yes, but when I asked what are the steps to do comic books, the printing did not come up. And also, like I said, I thought the inks and the colors were separate from the printing. That was my bad. To answer your question, the advice wasn't. He's not even waiting for the answer. He don't give a fuck. Why am I even talking?
I get where you're going with this.
Who gives a fuck? He left.
I get the answer, right?
He don't give a fuck.
I understand where you're going with this, right?
Here's my question.
No.
Could I sum it up, right?
Look. I'm gonna read Understanding Comics. I'm gonna read Understanding Comics real soon. And if he didn't mention printing templates, you gotta shut the hell up.
Okay.
You actually gotta shut the absolute hell up.
Because let me see. Printing, shipping, book design, booth design, meetings.
I mean,
is your point that the information exists somewhere? We're just talking past it, and this is the problem I have arguing with old heads because they don't listen. They won't even listen enough.
You didn't even go to a library and figure something out. This book is old as shit.
Library 2021, bro.
This book is
get the fuck out of here.
Well,
there's so much information available on Google, and then you pull out a book from a library.
I have.
Let me explain. Let me explain the last time I was in the library.
You guys
I had a great time, but for a different reason.
We're saying that the information was hard to find. No, I didn't go to a library to learn how to make comics.
You didn't go online to make comics. In 2021, you're crying about I can't figure out how to do a billion and how to pay money. It's like Jesus Christ, you guys are just kidding. Just like what the fuck, guys?
You said what'd you say, bro?
You heard what I said?
We're idiots.
I didn't hear what you said. What'd you say?
I said you guys are basically it's just shitty. It's just like amazing to me that you have more access to more information than God's
like the library.
Like we never even.
When people say when people saying there's more information, are they saying the library or are they saying Googleable? When they refer to that?
I'm saying readily available to you in this day and age, not on Google.
When they say there's more information, right? It's relative. There was a point in time, there was a lot of information. There was more information. Are they talking about more libraries or are they talking about Google?
You don't want to get any of it. You all cry about when you can't get shit. And that's what I'm always
this is that generational shit because nobody cried.
Generation is just like, God damn, man, you don't like to do anything.
Brother. Let me say this. You are making assumptions. You're just making you're not listening.
I found this book billions of years
at the library. Who the fuck was going to the library in 2021?
I got this at Tate's comic book store back home in South Florida. I was like, oh, great book. How it's self-published. Oh, this is a great book. Let me check this out. This is decades ago.
I believe you.
It's like, man, there's books out there if you want the
You just don't care. You just don't care to hear other people's perspective, but you continually asking questions, and it's weird to me.
I don't want to hear other people's bullshit.
And you're bullshit. You're not even hearing. You're not even listening to the answer to know that's bullshit or not.
I hear it and I don't agree with it.
You brother. I mean, sure, you grant you know you don't have to agree with it. But what I'm saying is, and this is where you're gonna lose people, and this is where the generational divide is coming in. Because I'm telling you, I did the research.
No, you
The
didn't.
research did not have the information that you are pointing out right there in that book, right?
No, you didn't.
I didn't think to go to a library because I was 27 years old in 2021. Okay. So I thought the information was available online. And somewhere it was, but it wasn't as easy to find. Like I said, me and Andrew just fucking dumb, I guess. We're dumb, whiny snowflake babies, I guess.
Look, I'm not
well, since we did mention Tate's, this is a Tate's book.
Like I said, look,
Sorry.
I'm a simple kind of guy, man. You figure out a way to figure out a way to do it, or you don't.
But we did figure. The problem is that you're kind of talking past each other. In that, I think you feel like I'm making excuses, but I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you what happened. I'm telling you what the perspective is for people that are jumping into a new thing. And I know you don't give a fuck. I know you just like, oh man, you should have went to the library, young blood. I get you. No, I understand. I mean, and this is the problem. This is the stuff that I picked up when we first had our conversation. Is that you are asking questions, but you don't care about other people's opinions. And whenever I ask you something, I will grant you that I will give you this respect. When I ask you a question, I actually want to hear the answer. Okay, I'm actually open to my perspective being changed. I don't believe you because anytime you don't disagree with you, you gonna call it bullshit.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are open to it.
If you're telling me I should have went to the library, and I'm like,
wait.
Yeah, that's not a bad. In retrospect, that's not a bad idea. I could have thought to do that, but you're talking. The problem I have with you right now is you're talking to me about some shit that happened 5 years ago. You're talking about some shit retroactively. Yes, in 2021, I could have been smarter, for sure.
Hey, if you wanted to be professional in it, you had an opportunity to do that.
I was my first year in like being professional was.
You learned the most important lesson.
Go to the library.
You pay for the education. That's the best way to learn.
The library.
But you know what? You spent the money, but you learned though, didn't you? You were never gonna. I bet you'd never make a mistake with that ever again, do you? I bet you've never made that.
And that goes back to the point in that I had the money to insulate myself from that mistake. But if I only had $150 beyond my budget to spend, I would have been cooked. I mean, sure.
You would have found the money, right?
Right. Because I can make the money because I have the ends to make the money.
Right. So if you're going to do that anyway, you learn an impressive lesson. You got a great education.
Because I could afford it. Some people can't afford to make the mistakes. The dude that made the mistakes I alluded to, he may not be able to make comics anymore.
What do you mean? He could never make comic books again because he made one mistake?
He's in the hole. Didn't you say to stop digging? Didn't you just say to stop digging in the hole?
Yeah. And I tell you, that doesn't say, I can't do it ever again. You built the hole.
Okay, when I say he can't make comics, I don't mean he can't make comics ever again.
Because
for the foreseeable future, he can't make comics. Now we're using semantics.
So I want to stop for 2 seconds here because we're getting off the trails here, and I think you two are speaking way past each other, right? The point that's being made here, that I mean, and feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, is that sometimes information is not readily available. You go into it, you did to master a craft or a bunch of shit. Just in comics, you need to know a lot of shit, and you're gonna miss something if you're doing your first fucking book. I don't care who you are. Am I wrong, Stokes?
No, 100%. And he probably made less mistakes than most people because he already had two different backgrounds and other different creative fields.
He made mistakes too. I'm sure.
But he knows how to do graphic design. So that's like 5 of the shits that you would have to learn. And he already knew printing. So that's like another. So of your 50 items, he already had a significant amount of them shits. I'll
give you another example outside of this perspective, right? I am a good investor and I had a good mentor, my father, right?
Yeah.
So I have a head start on most people. I was speaking to somebody who's now getting, involved, and we're not talking like high stakes. We're talking about buying stocks, retirement, stuff like that. The basics. This is not financial advice, right? The person I can tell is 20 steps behind me, right? And they have a hard time conceptualizing it. So they're going to make some mistakes, right? Obviously, I'm helping them out and providing some mentorship. They're going to make a few less mistakes, but they're 20 steps behind me because they didn't have a good mentor, right? So the point is that, but there's mistakes they're going to make. I don't think they're going to kill them, but there are definitely going to be some painful ones. Without a doubt, they're going to make some bad trades here and there, but they're going to learn. But my point is that, and they're going to make dumbass mistakes and be an idiot, right? Nothing wrong with that. It happens in life. So
if you got the money, you'll be good.
He personally going to make a $500 mistake, right? And if we're talking $500 and you got 40 years of investing, that's nothing in reality. It sucks in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
it's painful, right? Everybody makes mistakes like that. Just no matter what you do. The point is that I think that you again. So I wouldn't even say you made a mistake. You made a call. You had something. You were in a fortunate position, and you learned something. And you're never gonna. Now you're ahead. And I mean, I don't even think you're disagreeing. I think that you're just missing each other in the conversation.
I really think we're disagreeing. I think we're disagreeing in that I think he's taking for granted how easy the information was to find at the point. And he asked me, why didn't you do this and why did you do that? And I'm just like, I just didn't know. And so I think
that's fine. That's a fair answer. It's an honest.
That's the disagreement though. That's a disagreement. Like, and like I'm just reflecting what me and you are able to conceptualize is that that's going to be the reality for a lot of people that do anything for the first time. They're just going to have pitfalls and stuff like that.
As you should. It's your first time. It's your first time. Of course, you're going to fail. I'd expect you to.
But is it failure versus an obstacle? Because I don't think it's failure, right? I think failure is not delivering a book.
But that's the word he's been using. Failure. I didn't say it was an obstacle. He said failure. That's the word he's repeated several times.
I think that would be if you budgeted and you have a specific amount of money and you hit that, and then now that gets you in the red and you're unable to make the book anymore. I would say that would be I would say that would be a failure. Yeah.
See?
Like for sure. And you can recover from that. That doesn't mean that you're like fucked. Like you can't ever make.
Would you say, let me ask a question because this is actually really important. Would you say that, let's say somebody budgeted, puts them in the red, then they drive Uber, their book is delayed by 2 weeks, they fix the problem, and then they overcome the obstacle. That's not a failure then.
Nah.
They just had an obstacle. They fucked up. They made a mistake.
Once you overcome it, it's not an obstacle. Like if it's something that you can get around.
You overcame the obstacle, but it's not a failure.
If you launch a campaign, it didn't fund, and then you step back and you reassess and you come back. I mean, you still failed that one time, but like essentially the project is a success from that. Like, and I don't want to get caught up too much on failure versus success. Like, I think I think it's funny in the conversation when we're like nitpicking, like we've been playing semantics versus like when we're kind of just speaking generally. But we can. What I mean is that that's an obstacle, and it didn't become a failure because I had the income to persevere with it. As does enemy one. Any pitfall that he comes in across, he's more or less going to be able to float past it because he's got other revenue streams. Then he's got the 30 years experience.
I'm going to make those mistakes.
I'm going to be able to float past my issues too. I just right now have a cash flowing issue.
The point of contention is that you're saying people are going to make mistakes and just try stuff, and then you are acting like the information that this is a fact. You already had the information going in. If you, in this particular example, is that correct that you had the graphic design background to know about bleed and templates and shit like that?
When I first did my first printing thing,
your first comic. This would be my first. Yes, I did. Actually, technically, so you knew that already. So your perspective. Can you grant me this? Can you grant me this? Your perspective might be skewed. Can you grant me that?
No. I mean, I need to be also transparent. The first comic book I did in an RPG. That was the first one that I printed. I printed a 16-page comic book in an RPG. At that point, I've been involved. That's 1999. So I've been involved in printing about 6 years. Did I know about templates? Yeah. So I had those advantages. Yes, 100%.
And you're saying that doesn't skew your perspective.
Wait. But I also took years to learn to do that to get to that point. I didn't start day one. Oh, I'm going to start comic books. I'm going to figure out how to do printing in 6 months. I didn't do that. I took a long time figuring out so I wouldn't make those kind of mistakes. I knew those would be fundamental problems.
Didn't you say that people should just try stuff and just try shit? And then
you should definitely try things, but you also should be cautious if you can afford to lose. I don't want you to go like.
But people do have stuff to lose.
No, please let me finish. I don't want you to lose all your money on the first roll. That's the dumbest thing ever.
Oh,
It's like, I gotta put everything on black first thing. No one does. That's just stupid. That's just.
no, he's been arguing against himself this whole time, bro.
I'm not arguing against myself.
You are, because it's like, yo, try whatever you want. You have nothing to lose, but don't lose all your money.
I said you will lose. You're gonna definitely lose, but you don't have anything to lose, because if you know I made money before, I can make money again. It's not a loss. And when I said, like, for you, like when you spent that money, what you said, it wasn't a loss to you, but it was. You lost 250, but it was a learning experience. You paid 250.
I wish I was insulated one because I had other sources.
So is that a loss or is that a learning experience?
It was both.
Great.
But it would have been a loss if that had knocked me off the tracks because I couldn't afford to.
But would that have ended you? Would that money have ended you? Would that have ended your career doing comics? Yes or no?
If I was broke as shit,
no,
not likely.
Would it ended your?
That's just one example, though.
I don't care about 12 million examples. I'm talking about this example.
I know you don't care about examples. You don't care about other people's perspective.
I'll throw this out there. I'll throw something out there. So there have been situations in my business where a $250 loss could have ended my whole position and completely fucked me over.
Would you have come back to doing the business, or you say that's it, I'm done, I'm never coming back?
I don't know.
He said he had his father to mentor him, so he's insulated from that loss.
I'm not even talking about. I'm not talking about not on an investing level, but in my eBay business, there was almost 10 years ago where I was legitimately almost in a $250 situation. Yeah. Where if it didn't work, I would have been fucked.
But you did learn finances from Pops, right? To some extent.
On an investment level, and that's a whole different number. That's a large six-figure number.
But I'm also saying, but would you have stopped if you couldn't make money?
I might have been wiped out.
Totally stopped, and you would never.
Yes, he's saying yes. He's answering your question. He's saying yes.
So you'd never get involved in it ever again.
I might have never, if it didn't work out. I
don't hear Mike. I would say, would you done it? Yes or no? I want black or white.
He answered your question.
Wait. I'm speaking to him.
It worked out, and I got through it, but it was close.
But if you hadn't got through it, would you say never? I'm never going to do eBay again. I'm done with this.
You answered his question.
I believe the answer might have been probably 60-40. I can't answer the question though, right?
All right.
He answered the question.
To be honest, it's an honest. It's not. I'm being given. The point I'm making is that I can see where somebody doesn't have $250 or $500, they get in the hole, that they might just throw the project away and walk away. I can see that, right?
That is a possibility.
You can see that too. I mean, Stokes,
right.
You can see that perspective, right? Where somebody is fucked and they just leave. 100%. It costs a lot to make comics. Like some people, if my artist is $50 a page, and my book is 20 page comic books, then I just blew 25% of my budget on a printing mistake, like 100%. Like I'm sure there are thousands of indie comics that don't get made. Like, why not? Like they get finished, dropped halfway through. Why is that? If you would concede that is right, then it would have to be a reason why. I just think you categorically cannot see outside of your own perspective. I mean, you asked him 15 times whether or not that loss would have ended him if he took an L. He answered your question, and then you said maybe.
No, wait. What I said was, would you have stopped? Would you?
He said possibly.
Wait. And he still said 60-40. He didn't say yeah.
He said that after you drilled him.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's okay.
No, I know, and it's fine that he drilled you. I'm just saying. I said to say like
it's a tough question. Because if all it would take was that thing and he never do it again, you wouldn't be a comic book publisher. You wouldn't do this. If it all it took was $250, you'd be like, nah, I'm done.
I had the finances. To insulate myself. Right. And this is hold on a second. Let me say this. This is one example of that. Right. This is a particular example. Right. Another thing, I got a banner, but it wasn't like a stand-up banner. It was like some shit you like use the zip ties.
Right.
And I go to a convention. Yeah. Right. I go to a convention and I'm like, where the fuck do I put my banner? That's another $100 down the drain on my first book. Like I could probably find like $500, $700 worth of fuck ups.
So
hold on a second. I could probably find 500, 700. So yeah, the 250, but the shit compounds. Like,
But why didn't you stop and quit? You had an opportunity to quit.
Because I had the money. I had the money. I was flush with cash.
So no matter what, nothing would have stopped you. If you didn't have the money, you would stop.
I had been I had been writing period. Seriously writing since I was 18 years old. Since 2012. I found out about Kickstarter in 2017. The reason why I didn't do the comic book in 2017 was that I was flat fucking broke. Like I was home insecure, broke. That's why. That's what stopped me from making a comic book before. So then I got a good job, started working crazy overtime, invested some money, and then once I didn't start making a comic book, I didn't start making a comic book until hell or high water. Okay. The earth could have split in two. I would have had enough money to make the comic book. That's what happened. So at that point in 2021, no, there was nothing stopping me from making a comic because I had so much resources that there was no pitfall that was going to stop me from making it. But those same pitfalls or what have you that's the reason why I couldn't make a comic book till 2021.
But to go on to that, right? I started my eBay business, right? Selling Lego minifigs with minimal money. I didn't expand my eBay business until 2024, where I took it from $6,000 to 14, and in 2023, and then into 2024, I took it to 26,000, and then it's now plus in sales. But I couldn't do that because, much like Stokes, I had a decent job, I had enough money invested, and I wasn't broke like in 2020 or 2018. But I didn't have the capital to go through expansion and be safe to do it. So when we talk about pitfalls, right? And I've seen people do this exact same thing where they don't go through an expansion, and this is what happens where you don't have a safety net. And there were a lot of problems that happened in that 26,000 sales expansion. I probably lost almost $2,000 because I didn't think I wasn't ready for the expansion. Because when you go from like 12 to 14 to 26,000, you don't even know what problems hit you. And I know it sounds crazy, but you don't know. All of a sudden, you don't have envelopes. You're going through more tape than you can possibly count. You're going through more ink. You're going through more, your printer breaks. You can't expect these problems. I lost almost $2,000 that year. And I mean, not lost. I mean, but it cut into my margins. But you don't know the problems you're going to have until you go through that. And now I have infrastructure. And so when I'm going to have a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 year in sales and decent profits on that, ideally in the next 2 years, hopefully I'm going to cross that 50,000 mark, not to toot my horn, but the idea is that infrastructure now is built, but you don't know the problems you're going to have. And I couldn't tell you those problems, and you could say, get an expert, but I didn't even know because all of a sudden I'm printing so much shit that my printer breaks. And it turns out that when you're printing like 3,000 envelopes and you don't even understand that your hands are going to get fucked up because you're cutting so much.
You should ask the expert.
But no.
You ever broke a scissor? You ever break a scissor? Have you ever broke a scissor? I broke a scissor that year.
Tell me
cutting so much paper. It's insane.
But you learned how much?
Oh my God, that's not.
But see, you don't want that. You're upset. You go like, oh my God, how did I know? I'm gonna.
But you're not arguing. That's besides the point. His point and my point is that there were unforeseeable pitfalls, and then for you to say, but you learned. That's not the point we're making.
Okay. I'll tell you about an unforeseen pitfall, so you understand that I know where I'm coming from. My wife contracted cancer.
I know.
Basically 6 months after my son was born. About 2.5 years after that, she was dead. My son was then diagnosed being cerebral palsy and blind. So I understand pitfalls. Pitfalls. Anybody in the fucking planet can understand it.
That's not relevant. I mean, that's still not the point. We're not understanding.
Wait,
we know you understand the concept of a pitfall. That's not the point we're making.
I know. And at the same time, I was doing Kickstarter. My wife died in the middle of one of the Kickstarters I was doing. So
what does that? This is very unfortunate, and I'm very sorry for you. Sincerely, I'm serious. All this it is very unfortunate. This does not counteract his point and my point.
Let me. Please.
You don't let me finish all night, but go ahead, bro.
Stokes, please don't act like I was not quiet for you, please.
You aren't. I mean, you cut me off.
All right, then you know what? We good, Stokes. You right, Stokes. Thank God you making a tons of money. You living your best life. I'm out here. I don't know nothing. Please. Continue.
It's not that you don't know nothing, but like you were bringing up something completely irrelevant to the point
because you don't know what the point was. But once again, we good.
I'm sure this is the one time you're going to stay on topic.
Anthony, I'll describe it like this: you and I won't be getting along. We will not be best buddies.
For sure not.
You be living your best life the way you do, and do what you do best. I'll be living my best life. I do what I do best.
And you're doing great, bro. You're doing phenomenally. I think you're doing so well that you've lost sight of what it's like to start something new, which is that's a blessing. That's beautiful. I wouldn't want it the other way for you, bro. I wouldn't want you to.
I just don't cry about it.
Who's crying?
I don't cry about it.
Who's crying? Andrew, you was crying. You crying like a bitch. You crying like a bitch down there because you like no. That's and this is the thing, and that's the perfect example of what I'm talking about, of where you can't see outside your own perspective because, and this is how I know you were about to be off topic because you're saying you're crying, and the point is, I made it out okay, and he made it out okay. But that happened because we had the resources to be. I know you should get like, oh my God, why does this guy tell me?
If you didn't have the resources, you'd fucking figure it out.
Maybe I figured it out. I figured it out to get to that point, but there was so much that could have went wrong on my path. If COVID didn't happen, there was a. If COVID, I know you don't care about perspective.
It would have, could have, should have. It didn't happen.
COVID was
if COVID didn't
that happened to me.
Thank you. If COVID didn't happen, there's a really solid chance I'm not making comics right now. You're not acknowledging all this shit.
But you are.
Okay, so we can't use hypotheticals then, right? Or we can't use specific.
So you just told me these things could have happened, and I could have done. I could have, but it didn't happen.
Your question, you might have forgotten what your question was. Your question was, in spite of all that happened, would you have kept going? And you asked that to me and you asked that to Andrew. And what we are saying to you, we are both individually saying, is that there were very fortunate circumstances that we found ourselves in that we were able to insulate. If those fortunate things, hold on. If those fortunate things didn't happen leading up to that point, then yes, that could have been the case. And if I had started making comics, when I was broke, then a $250 sales would have fucked me. I could have been homeless. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
But would you have stopped? Would you have stopped? Would you stop?
I would have been homeless. What the fuck are you talking about?
Would you stop the story?
I'll tell you this, right? So I figured it out. It worked out. I got lucky and I got through it, right? But also, you know what is? There were people in which that my friends might have helped. My friends might have stepped in. You know, people might have stepped in and helped a lot, and might have acted as a safety net. And there's been times where people have done that for me. There's been plenty of people in comics who have done that for me. And I'm sure Stokes, you have that. I'm sure there's been plenty of people for you as well. So
100%.
So the point I'm making is that I don't know, right? But it's foreseeable that it could have, right? So obviously you had a circumstance that life basically punched you in the balls, for lack of a better word, to put it nicely. And you got through it. And I don't know who was in your life, but I'm sure there was a lot of people stepped up, right? And so that's the point I think I'm making and Stokes is making, is that there are circumstances that could stop you from doing something, right?
Right.
But you don't believe that, though.
No. But the point I'm making is I would still be doing this anyway, because this is who I am. Me doing comics, me doing gaming, that's who I am. That's part of my DNA. I would make this stuff when I'm 90 years old. I'm still gonna be doing this stuff because I love it.
I mean, every year.
Which I think is great. All this is good. All this is good stuff. I'm glad you made it on the other side of that stuff. I still don't even think you're really engaging with if your point is that there's no evidence to suggest that we would have just stopped what we were doing as a result. Right. I can't look into the alternate realities like Doctor Strange and provide that information for you. But what I am trying to say, and what Andrew is saying, is that, like I said, those pitfalls were subverted with help from other people, and not everybody else has help, right?
Yes, but I'm on your two cases, in your specific cases, I think based on the short amount of time we've had with each other, you guys, this is what you do. This is who you are. This is who you are.
I think
this is me at 32 years old. Yeah, I'm that's me right now. That wasn't me at 26.
But that's the only time I can talk about it. Like, this is all I know. What you're right now, this is who you guys are.
I mean,
if you're using us as two, if you're saying specifically us, fine. But sure. But you are acknowledging that there's some people that hit these pitfalls and just don't make comics anymore.
I know somebody. I'm not going to mention. He's a good friend of mine, and he's now switching to screenwriting. And he published 3-4 books, and he fell on some hard times. And you notice he just said, "I'm kind of out of money, and I'm kind of done." And he owes people a book, and I don't think he wants to come back. He's done. He's wiped out, right? And I like his books, right? I mean, I think his books are solid. They've won awards. They're being taught in some colleges, but like he's just wiped the fuck out. And circumstances, and it's not that he doesn't want to write. He wants to write, but he can't do it. He doesn't have the funds, and he doesn't have the income to do it, and he's fucked over on it. And so that's where I think this is where it goes. And so I don't know if we're in a disagreement. I just think that you might be telling me and Stokes that we're full of shit, because chances are we might have figured a way out how to do it, regardless of things.
You say you don't have an ear for bullshit, so you think at least I'm full of shit.
I think both you guys are doing what you do. This is who you are. This is, you doing what you're doing. This is who you are. I mean, I'm giving you a little bit older perspective. I'm 20 years you guys senior. I've seen a lot of shit in the 20 years. Shit I didn't think would ever happen. And looking back at my age, at that age when I was your age doing that, I remember I was like, you think that kind of stuff would stop you, and that stuff's bad. It's not going to stop you. If you're,
I go back to the question I asked you earlier. Do you think that is coloring your perspective and making you biased to some degree?
I think I'm an old man who's lived an old life. So yeah, of course, there's going to be some.
Okay.
There's definitely going to be that. I can't. That's what happens.
That's fair enough.
Okay. Well, I think.
But at the same time,
I would agree with that. To be clear,
I get some perspective that you guys. There's a lot of stuff that you guys haven't seen yet, don't know what's going to go on, and don't know what you can do when your back's really against the wall. I mean,
my back was against the wall,
and it's not even about. I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing when it's your back against the wall. It's a different thing when it's your child or your wife. But you can't do shit on that. That kind of shit. That's something else. It's what any mistake you guys make, and I assume you guys are not married. I could be incorrect. You guys are not married.
I'm not married to Andrew. No.
Right. Any mistake you guys are making is all on you.
Yes.
It's on you. It's a different story when it's somebody else on your back. It's a totally different story with the person you love. It's like, look, I paid the money. I'm okay with the shit happens to me. That's what it is. But when you put other people into it that you love more than you love yourself, it's different.
I do have people that somewhat rely on me financially.
No. I mean, no. Kids and wives are different, and I mean that.
I'm just using what you're. Sure, I'm sure I'm not married. Okay, 100%. I will tell you that it did well on me, and sure, I just feel. And again, shouts out to you, bro. Sincerely, like you're doing your thing. You're fucking killing it. To hear that you are hyper successful, it makes me sincerely happy that that's the case and that you made it on the other side. But I'm saying that because I'm imagining there was a scenario where you might not have. A scenario. That's where the conversation is kind of odd to me, because I'm like, you're talking to a version of me that made it, but there's dozens of scenarios that could have that were, and I just. And again, if the conversation again, and I want to circle back to the main point of the conversation. The main point of the conversation was that was about budgeting and about projects getting derailed. That was the point of the convo, right? And hearing all of this stuff, I don't understand how you all the evidence, all the anecdotal stuff is like, yeah, it sounds like any one of us could have.
Oh yeah. been
Then
out.
I don't understand what you saying. Like, is this just us specifically, like me and Andrew, or are you saying like, or would there be somebody else in here? You'd be like, yeah, you probably would have quit.
I mean, some people would quit. I can't
Fair
deny
enough.
it. Man. Some people, but it's like, talking to you guys, listening to Passion. I'm assuming you guys wouldn't. You sound like someone I know, me, 20 years ago, talking about the stuff that I love.
Right. No, I do love it, but I do know I got lucky. And sometimes, I mean, I'll be honest, bro. Sometimes I just break down because I'm like, I feel like I'm not supposed to be here.
Oh no!
You know what I'm saying?
No.
And I got survival's guilt because I'm like,
don't have that guilt. Don't have that guilt.
No, but I do.
No. Don't have that.
No,
guilt.
I shouldn't have it, but it exists. It's not a matter of. It's not a matter of, hey, don't feel that. I'm telling you how I feel because that's how miraculous things ended up.
And that's the way they were always going to.
Yeah.
I'm one of those kind of people. I'm like, look, man, if things happen for reasons, you don't know why things happen the way they do. You don't have any fucking control over.
This sounds faith based, and that's lit. But I'm not gonna argue with somebody about their faith. You know?
No. I mean, I'm just telling you from a guy who I told you I married the woman of my dreams. Married the woman of my dreams. Got the child of my dreams. We were about 5 weeks in, and I thought my life was perfect. It couldn't have got better. And then everything went to shit. Everything went to shit. And I tell people this. There was a moment I thought about putting a gun in my mouth, blowing my brains out, but I couldn't hack it. Couldn't. It was the worst moment possible. Everything looked like shitty. Blind sun, cerebral palsy. It was the worst.
Yeah.
I said, fuck this. Let me get the fuck out. Oh, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Another Lewis did.
But you could have. That's what I mean.
Yeah. But I'm also.
And I'm glad you didn't.
But I'm also saying, fuck that guy. But you took the weak way out. It's difficult. Okay. It is difficult. Life is difficult.
So I'll put my perspective, right? I am a physically disabled man who is, in my opinion, pretty smart, pretty good at certain things. And I realize that I'm born in America. Okay? You could say a lot of things about America. One thing you can't say, and I work in digital accessibility. So I know all this stuff, right? So I could say the one thing is that there's no other country I'd rather be in with my situation. And because in this country, and I'm terrified to leave the United States because I do not have the same protections in the rest of the world. In England, I do. I think in France and Germany, to a degree, I do. But I don't think in Canada, but a lot of countries.
But in a lot of places, that you probably about 10 places you can count top of your fingers that you'll be okay. But other places.
But my point is that I realized that I was born in a country by the pure grace of luck because my parents were here and their grandparents came and their grandparents immigrated. And just by a crazy position that my parents just gave birth to me in America. And they're obviously U.S. citizens. Right. And I'm a U.S. citizen. But that's my point is that, and I realize that this is the land of opportunity. So that's how I view it. So you know what? I mean, and it sounds crazy, but if I was born in a place somewhere, I'm trying to think of a disastrous country, I would not have good healthcare. I would have a lot of problems, right? I mean, really, seriously. And
no, you would. No,
I don't know. So I had a successful surgery that corrected a failure surgery that got me back by about 70% of my leg that I didn't have. And I wouldn't have that in Laos. That wouldn't exist in Laos as a country. So and my surgery was relatively inexpensive. I was expecting it to be like a $20,000 bill. It was way cheaper than that. But not the point. But the point is that and I think there's something to be said about that. But so my perspective on that is very different. That no matter whatever shitty day I have, I'm still in America. And a shitty day in America is a hell of a lot better than a shitty day in Laos. It just is. And that's not even to be political. That's just because this is the land of opportunity. And anything could happen. And not to put it that way. Also, libraries are a lot of fun. Because the last time I was in a library, oh my God, there was this cute girl, and oh my God, her thong was riding up her ass, and it was just majestic. And so and I did ask her out for coffee. No, she said yes. So it was a good day. So libraries are fun, everybody. And That was like a good 10 years ago. So it was she was fun. She was fun for a while. And here's what was great. My favorite quality is that she was well read.
At the library.
So go to the library, guys. That's
I bet she knows about Bleed.
She just might. There's a joke in there somewhere. There's a joke in there somewhere. But this is a family fucking friendly show here. So having said that, I don't know if you guys want to do closing statements or just plug your stuff. Obviously, I don't know if this was a successful. I think it was a successful discussion. Hopefully, I don't know if it was. I mean, that's up for the audience to decide when they all tuned in, tuned out, and they all have. But hopefully this was productive. I don't know if it was, but at least I enjoyed it because it was the easiest interview I've ever done in my life. So but yeah, I don't know who wants to go first. I don't know if you want to go first. Enemy one. Since Stokes wants to go first, I don't know who wants to go first.
No, you can go first.
Stuff.
You said want me to go first?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't think we were going to get over the generational divide today, and I think we got over it in some spots, and I think some spots we didn't. And I think we are going to continue to disagree. For sure, you're going to continue to disagree. And I don't have a problem with disagreements, right? Like that's not a big deal. And I do have a lot better of an understanding. I still don't know why I asked some of the questions he does, but that if you just asking questions for the fuck of it, then that makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I don't know.
Sometimes it's that.
Just that. Hey, yeah, no, I can see that. I see that for sure. No, but there's I think there's a generational divide that I don't think we can get over. I don't hate enemy one or anything. Like I said, he wouldn't crack the top 500 worst comic people industry or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I see you at a show.
I'll work on it. I'll get a little.
No, right. I see you at a show. I would shake your hand. It's not. There's no beef or anything. I'm not going to promise that I won't insult you in the future, but generally,
nothing wrong with that.
Generally speaking. Okay, guy. I just think what I would say to him and to other people is, are you really considering the intentionality when you do stuff or have discourse in indie comics? Are you really thinking through the implications of the conversations and that such? And that's really all I ask from anybody that jumps in, because as we talked about earlier, there's a lot of information, and I'm going to modify and say there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of bad information. There's a lot of murky information. There's a lot of stuff to navigate. And I want there to be less of that so that it is easier for somebody to come in and have an easy discussion about indie comics, And then I got a quick side. I would pose a question. If somebody asks you, what do you need to know about indie comics, making indie comics, would you bring up the design Bleed stuff? Now, it's not I got you. I'm sincerely asking, not trying to judge everything up.
For me, yeah, because I mean it's part of the thing that I know. That's an important part. You don't realize that till you get to the printing part. But most people don't know that.
He admitted it.
Even better.
He admitted it.
I'll do even better. Most people don't even know the difference between CMYK and RGB.
I still don't. I know one. I know one Prince. I know the other one doesn't, or some shit like that.
Right. But those are things I know.
Yeah.
But I got lucky enough to learn that. I mean, what I would say is, if you don't know already, I like a good fight. I don't mind arguing with people. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I like going. I think you can find out a lot about people by arguing. I think that's the best way. And I think you should ask all kinds of questions. The most inappropriate ones are always the best ones to ask, because you're going to get some responses in all different ways. And I'm good with it. You can curse me out. You can talk about my mom. Hey, no problem. I'm all good with that. I'm one of those kind of guys. I like the conflict. So I'm good with that. It's never personal. I mean, we create comic books. Jesus, I mean, it's the best job in the world if I'd want to have. What do? I make comic books. I get to do cool fights, cool scenes, and get cool art. It's a win no matter what you do. But I think a lot of people don't know stuff, and I think a lot of people should try different things always, because you never know. I mean, if you told me a black and white book about undead creatures and Walking Dead would do well, I'd be like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Who'd want to read that fucking book? what the fuck do I
read
know?
it.
So what the fuck do I know? So, it's like, hey man, just make what makes you happy. And if you're serious about it, be serious about it. And if you're going to do it, you're going to do it.
And then it's my show, so I'm just going to promote myself because this is what we do here. Typically, it's on the bottom down below, but obviously, I am on Twitter at his name is King9. Typically, I'm yelling at the WNBA, the New York Mets, the Yankees, the Boston Red Sox, and the Dodgers a lot. Also, I talk about the WWE a lot on Twitter/X, so you could follow me there. I have a good time. I get very angry about baseball and the WNBA. When they go after Caitlin Clark, it's upsetting. And just because Angel Reese hasn't called me back yet does not mean that there's still not an opportunity. I just want to make those two things crystal clear here. So having said that, obviously you can follow me there. I have a good time there. I also have an Instagram, Pop Anime Comics. My Facebook is Pop Anime Comics. YouTube is Pop Anime Comics. TikTok is Pop Anime Comics. I have another whole entity where I talk about cards, which is Big Boy Card Collecting. So I do that on YouTube. I just open up packs, boxes, talk about cards. Really enjoy that. It's a fun little thing. There's all sorts of cool stuff that I talk about. A lot of fun stuff out there. And then it's educational. So we talk a lot about education because it's a passion of mine. And I want everybody to be an educated buyer in the card sector. And it relates to my business because, I run a little store. Look for comics and collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay at Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. And I carry stuff like this in my store. People still say they can't see it. I don't know why. I carry books like this in my store. I have all 15 of those. I have all 15 of these. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I carry stuff like this in my store. I carry stuff like this in my store, which is a one-on-one. They sell out quickly. And then every once in a while, I have stuff like this in my store, which are super rare, 1 of 5, 70 Care auto. And again, that stuff sells out real quick in my store. So that's some of the stuff that I bring in my store. And I've been saying it forever. So go to my eBay store if you're looking for comics or cards. First off, go through it and see if you see something you like. You can always make me an offer. I'm just going to say no, thank you if it's a bad offer, or I'm looking for more, or I'll counter you. Secondly, if you do not see what you're looking for, shoot me a message on eBay because I may have it. If I got it, I'll list it for you. If I don't got it, I know people in the industry, got a lot of friends still in comics, got a lot of friends in cards, and got a lot of friends just all over the place. And you never know who has what. And I had a buyer who didn't even know a product existed. And he bought a bunch of stuff from me, and he didn't even know that a product existed because it was a secret variant. And I actually found the guy at his shop, and I connected them to each other. So just word of the wise on that stuff. So that's everything I got going on. And again, if you're watching this and you want to see more debates, shoot me a message. And anybody wants to step up and enter the, arena, I'll happily host anytime. So that's everything I got. And I'd just like to thank both of you for showing up because I absolutely appreciate it. And I'm glad that at least there is nobody's going to kill each other at a convention yet. I do not want to be guilty of that. And so thank you everybody for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one, everybody. So then, everybody, have a good one.